Now they can. I just wanted to hello everybody, good evening. Very strange happenings on the YouTube realms of life. Apparently some people can hear us before we're actually live, but obviously it means we're doing a good thing and we need people to be able to hear what we're saying. So we're going to start by introducing the panelists that we have, which are Rick, obviously part of the fucking furniture, Nathan, and Nathan, sorry again, who was the person that you've got actually with you? Because I believe you've got somebody actually sat with you at the moment.
Mr. Darren today.
Say that again. Sorry, that was me interrupting you. Dan, sorry, say that again, mate.
Darren Ashdown.
Darren Ashdown. Okay, so we've got Darren Ashdown and Nathan Kirkton in the same little square on your screen over there. Then again, is it Temi or Tamai? I'm very sorry. I'm crap pronouncing my name, anyone's name, but yeah, you try and pronounce mine and I'm sure we'll be on the same boat. But Temi, was it? Temi, you're very most welcome to be here. Thank you so much for being here. Then we've got Gary Clark, obviously. Everybody knows Gary Clark, but say hi, Gary, if you're there, say hello.
Good evening, everyone. But don't forget, Carly, I'm 3 hours in front of you, so I won't be able to stay as long as everybody else.
That's fine, mate. It's absolutely fine. No problem. There's no time constraint. You do already sound slightly tired, if I'm honest. So you're good. Yeah. Just chill. You just chill. And Mr. Stephen Lang, I believe we also have as well on the panel, if I'm correct.
You
I'm
are.
Not sure if he's there. Hello. How
you
are you
very
doing,
correct.
Sir?
I'm good.
Excellent stuff. Brilliant. No, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you here. I've had Rick in my ear about you for very many years now.
It's all complete lies. Don't take no notice.
You don't know what he said.
Well, apart from that bit.
Epic. It's an absolute pleasure. It's
a pleasure for me to be here. Believe me, it's a lot easier than to do a show. It's easier to be a guest.
Thank you. Well, no, you're more than welcome anytime. Again, I'll say it again for the crowd. I'm no good at this technical stuff, so sometimes people need to bear with me while I'm doing my thing. So what we're going to do is go onto a screen share. There's a few things that need to be spoken about today. We're just going to start off with something that, we'll just say is relevant to the next bit. Should we just say that? So I'm just going to make sure I've got the right thing up because I've got too many tabs open. And this is where Kaylee starts. I'll just like sing a little song or do something because I'm trying to figure out some technology and it's not working out. Because I wasn't made for this, but I got it. That was actually proper quick. Then, usually it takes me like 10 minutes going, where's that tab? I found it already. Got it already. Right, so I'm just going to come back. Make sure that I'm sharing the screen because I was not made for this. But, hey-ho, you got to go with what you got. Okay, right, share the screen. Let's go. It's been a bit slow, but it is working. No, it's actually stopped me from doing it. Right, this is, oh my God, even the video that I was trying to do earlier, that was odd. All right, okay, bear with me. All right, anyone wants to, if you want to jump in and have a discussion for a couple of minutes, absolutely go for it. But it's just literally just got me out of even going onto that link, which is something that I'm quite used to be honest. But I'm not going to reboot because that's going to kick everyone off. But it's literally just frozen me out of that tab, which is a little slightly odd.
See, now what really should happen is someone should jump in and help Kaylee out, right? Because she's dealing with something. So what you need to do is jump in somebody and say, hello, Gary, how are you? Are you still spying for the Russians? What's going on? Are you still over there, mate?
Come on, where's all my white knights? Come on, you're all supposed to be my white knights. That's what we shout for. Where are you?
The question I want to
Other
ask
than
is
freeze,
how many cans of tear gas you've been handing out at the border for all the.
I can tell you one thing: you don't go out after 8 o'clock here, it freezes your nuts off.
Yeah.
Freezing. Well, do you know what? Sometimes it's
That's
better to freeze
because most people go out at night with clothes on, Gary.
Yeah, how'd you not get arrested, you weirdo?
Oh, dear.
All right, everything's just started moving again. I was obviously talking about Gary getting his kit off, just got everything started up.
No, I'm still getting a better signal over here than I do in Warsaw, Steve.
You've got better signal than I've got by the looks of things. I don't even know who you are, but you've got better signal than me. But no,
Can
it's
I
all
just
started
find
moving
out
again.
Gary means Warsaw in Birmingham, not Warsaw in Poland?
I'm not Warsaw.
Warsaw.
That was warm. Oh, was it? Right, okay. Sorry about that, guys. Everything just went on to a bit of a freeze up there. But yeah, let's talk about Gary walking around naked and everything warms up again. We're all good to go because we have no lows over here, apparently.
Up, Gary.
Right. Okay. Right. Here we go. Sorry about that, people. I do apologize. Yeah, my technical skills are not great, and then it's even worse when it literally freezes on you. You can't even do anything. You can't even blame it on me tapping the wrong thing. Just froze. So, okay, we're going to start with Mr. GoFundMe for a pot noodle, because you know that's what's important in life. And yeah, Rick, again, I need to talk to you about even the actual where this even that I need to talk to you afterwards. Seriously, I still can't get my head around it because there was too much to get my own head around already. But we're gonna play this and let's just make sure that we've got the audio because it does this thing. Oh god, it's going slow again. Right, okay, right. Let's just start that again. Okay, here we go. I do apologize, everybody. Welcome anybody that's just joined. Do appreciate you being here. Sorry about the yeah, a little bit of technical issues, kind of standard on this channel. That's why I'm nothing big or strong and I don't monetize anything because it would be doing you a disservice. But we are going to share a screen again and just make sure we've got the audio on. Yes, we do. And then here we go. Like we should have done like 15 minutes ago. Welcome to the show, everybody. Let's start from now. Sorry about that, lads. Right. Here we go. If anyone can say yes or no if it's not working. Right.
Working for me.
Yeah, but the volume wasn't up, was it? Hang on. Right. Let's start this again. There we go.
I hate the banks. Let me tell you something, people. I want you to understand this, yeah? I went to prison for attacking the banks. I hate the banks. I still hate the banks. And they're going to destroy you unless you stand up as people and take back control. Because above all of this is the banking system that's controlling that parliament, right? You better start listening to me, people. Now the difference is, I, under common law, got 7 years and I was held in HMP Hell March as a category A prisoner. Check it out. Hello, my name's Graham Moore. I'm an English Democrat. And they stuck me around, tyrannies, hard life, was held in HMP Hellmarsh. I'm going to name them as traitors to this country, right? And you have got Marty Kane, Mark Charles, Luke Nash Jones, Tony Bugle, and the only thing you'll have in your hand is your fucking dick.
And this man wants you to vote for him for Parliament.
Oh my god, it's like John Manoa and fucking Brian Hill had a baby. What the fuck was that? God.
Centuries of
Sorry, let me fuck the Queen. Oh, sorry, that's a little bit nostalgic for me. Oh,
The sad thing is he actually talks a lot of sense, right? But the problem is he doesn't do it. He never did it for the right reasons. He was just out to make money from day one. And the whole thing about the dragons, the White Pen Dragons, was just the same. That's where it started. It started long before then. Believe you me, it did.
Yeah, can I just clarify that? Because everyone seems to think that Graham Moore started the Pen Dragons. It didn't. The White Pen Dragons was actually started in the chat group.
That's right.
2 radio stations by a group of us. And Mr. Lang, who's on the show tonight, Graham and Davey were asked to be the leaders to head up the movement afterwards. It was not Graham Moore who come up with Pen Dragons. He doesn't own any single part of it at all, in any way, shape or form. It was a group thing that we all got together and decided.
He doesn't need that. That's the thing. What you have to remember is this man is not a fool. He's clever. And he knows what he's talking about in a lot of ways. And he also knows how to manipulate people. That's what you got to remember. And it's easy to do that on Facebook because, as I say, one comes along every minute. So the ones that he gets rid of because they're no longer of use to him get replaced very quickly. Because unfortunately, the man talks what a lot of people want to hear. All right. That's what you've got to remember. And also, he sounds believable, right? The only thing that's cringeworthy is the nickname that is stuck with him that he wants to keep.
Oh.
You know, why
would you wanna
if
keep
he
that?
well, the thing is, if you're going to start up a political party, and I get the reasons why he wants to do it, and that is because it's, you know, it's your way into making even more money, isn't it? But you know,
that's where it becomes a problem. When you got like if you've got a pure liar, that's fair enough. You can kind of call it out and see it. When you've got somebody that's mixing the lies with the truth, and then they've got the grifter element.
Well, the problem is, Kaylee, is the whole system works that way. It's corrupt, you know. So you unless you're corrupt, you ain't going to get anywhere in that system.
Exactly.
So they all might turn around and they will sell you their grandmother to get elected. Because the lifestyle that they lead is very special that only us can only dream of. Yeah. You know, none of us really understand what sort of lifestyle these people lead. We only presume it. We don't know it because we're not part of their ilk. We're not in there. If you was an MP and you was earning all of a sudden from a mediocre job, maybe earning minimum wage and one thing and another, and all of a sudden you're earning 120 grand a week or a month or whatever it is that they earn, plus all the money that they earn on the sideline. You know, it's the difference between Sunday League football and becoming a Premiership player.
Yeah, 100%. They lose concept as well. Like once you're into that, you lose concept of what it means to it. This is why we can't really engage with these people. Yeah. They don't see us as
you
people.
Can't. They never will, and they won't give away what they've got. It's took them years, hundreds of years to get where they are now. So if you think that they're just going to hold their hands up and say, "Oh, okay, we were wrong. You can have it all back, and we'll do it your way," you're joking. The first thing you got to remember is quite simple. These people have took, I don't know how many hundreds of years to get to the level they're at, right?
300.
Yeah, they're never gonna just roll over, because their way of thinking is they do the best for the country, because the country will always be here. They don't do the best for the people, because we won't always be here. We're constantly being replaced.
Yep.
Right. So that's how they operate. That is why they only do how they see it is best for the country. Because, like I say, the country will always be here, but we won't.
Yeah, then the little people like us, we hear the country, right? And we think, just naturally we think, oh, they're talking about the people of the country.
Well,
No.
we do because it affects out whatever little bit of goodness we've got in our life gets taken away. These people, once somebody starts taking away bit by bit, they say it's about protecting life, right? It's got nothing to do with that, because if that's the case, then why is it you're only stopping us from going to things that we enjoy, like nightclubs and pubs and gyms and all of those good things, that we enjoy? It's punishment. It's got nothing to do with keeping you healthy. It's about punishment. It's about punishing you into breaking. It's the same tactics that they use in wartime. It's a constant barrage so that you break the will of the people. That is what's behind all of it, until you all break and do as you're told. Simple as that.
It's a social experiment what they're doing. It's a slippery.
Well, it's a psyop. It's been a psyop from day one. It's a psychological operation, and they've pulled it off. It works really well, because most of the people out there are shitting themselves and walking around with fucking masks on.
Exactly, going to Tesco's without a mask and all hell breaks loose. Actually, if you wear your mask, you know that you're breathing in.
Well, it's fear. It's fear. It takes minutes to put fear into people, but it takes fucking years to get it out of them.
It's not as well. Going back to the bit before, if you listen to the wording they use, most of the time they actually refer to the state, and most people don't realise that the city of London is a state within a state. They're actually. What most of Parliament now, because what a lot of people don't realise is we've been cut out. The only person that actually gets any say is the Remembrancer, and he represents the City of London. If you listen to their wording, a lot of people say it's doublespeak. We are not the country. We are not the state. At the end of the day, they don't class the peasants and the great unwashed as anything to do. They only class themselves as true people. And that's what people have got to grasp. The country is a corporation. Britain is a corporation. It's not a country.
It's just cannon fodder, boyo. We've been nothing but cannon fodder. There's a lot of truth in old sayings. But they say, how do you make sure that the slaves, don't realise they're slaves? You give them what they want. There's truth in all of these sayings. You just got to read through it.
What's the
circuses?
Yeah, exactly, Gary. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, that's it.
It's like with society. What people don't realise is we've been slowly over the last 300 years at least been indoctrinated. What a lot of people don't realise is everybody wants to. It's like everybody has to have a house, a bigger car, a better this, a better that. That's how they live. That is the ethos they have, and what they do is they try and make what they're doing okay by making all us lot chase the same dream as they've got. When in truth, we're never going to get that.
And we don't need it is the more important thing. We don't even need it, so we can chase it.
Me and Mr. Lang was talking the other day. On the phone, and we both was on about the lottery, and we was both saying, you don't think they're going to let the likes of us win £100 million on the lottery there? It's a load of bullshit.
I remember that.
Yeah,
it's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
It was that chat we had.
Are people to believe that somebody's going to have these magic numbers? No, they're going to give it to who they want to give it to. They've got control. It's the same way they've got control of everything else. The same way that we think that we're voting. We're not actually voting.
Well, it's all down to mathematics.
Like we were saying, if me or Mr. Lang, example, won 160 million, I could give everybody on here 20 million and change your lives, and then you can invest that money. And like Mr. Lang says, you can make a change if you win that sort of amount of money. And when you make a change, when you win that sort of money, you can influence what goes on. And they ain't going to allow that ever.
No, that's right. They don't let people win that sort of money. you know, because it's 120 million gives you a lot of power. And power is dangerous, and you can't be running around with that amount of power. You've got to be controlled like everybody else, you know, unless you step up to their level, which means somebody will be knocking on your door saying, do you want to join this club? They'll get something on you because you got that sort of money. They'll drag you into it, and they'll say, well, we can tell you how you can live the life that you're all living on 120 million, but you won't be spending your own money. You'll be spending somebody else's money, like the taxpayer. And then you get involved in that system. That's where they get all these secret societies from. But there's a lot of truth in that. And that is why these people get involved in offshore accounts. They send a lot of money abroad. They don't have it here. You know, they send it to Swiss bank accounts and one thing and another. There's a good reason for that.
Yeah, well, look at Mr. Savage Javid. He's just had to cut, I think it's a few £1 million put into an offshore account in a tax haven, so he's paid no tax.
Well, that's exactly what most of them do. They've been doing it for millennia.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of people don't realise, but a lot of legislation, technically speaking, spans from corporations. It was basically corporations pretty much creating legislation to make what was be unlawful legal. So then they have an excuse to get around it. The bank's been doing it for years. I mean, we all know the bank. I mean, take the Rothschilds. They're pretty much funded both sides of every single war since they ever started.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a glass thing. We're never going to be. I mean, we've got to take these people down because all they're doing is they're trying to get people to chase a dream they'll never get. It's like they don't want us to sort of all of a sudden one day turn around and go, do you know what you're doing is bad. Because everybody's too busy chasing, getting a bigger car, bigger house. You mean keeping up with the Joneses, or you've got to better everybody else. It's a social construct that is just absolutely destroying society.
Yeah, but society drives it. This is the problem. You know, they turn around and they say, well, who wants this to happen? You know, what words can we use? We can't use certain words now in public, but we can use them in our little safe cells amongst other people that agree with our way of life. So we all start becoming little groups of people. And this is what Facebook does. Instead of joining everybody together, it makes millions of little groups of people. And they all say one thing or the other, but they can't get together because Facebook keeps that separation.
Oh, and doesn't it also promote this kind of like a minute kind of a little celebrity situation going on as well? Everybody feels like they've got their. This is why I can't stand YouTube, especially at the moment. It's like everyone's got this ego because it's all about me. It's all about me. I've got my channel. I'm really important, and everyone's watching me, and all this kind of thing. So
that's another confine, if you like, of social media that people were finding out slowly but surely. But you know, originally when Facebook and one thing and another came out, it was people sharing pictures of their kids and what they got to eat for the evening. And then all of a sudden it went all political, you know. It just got crazy, and it's got worse since. So, you know, all you see on there.
YouTube at the moment is the Speaker's Corner lot, which I've never really been involved in, but they've gone on to all these panels now and everything, and it's kind of like just digressed from it, you know. It's like it started out as Speaker's Corner, then lockdown happened and everyone's on the internet and all the rest of it. You throw a few more people into the mix and it's just like,
well, the internet, see, because the internet is easier to control, isn't it? It don't cost any money to the government. There's no old bill standing around and getting overtime for turning up at fucking Westminster on a Saturday, you know, because there's no one there. There's nobody in Westminster. So going up there on a Saturday, all it does is it holds up traffic and it creates a lot of, it creates a lot of overtime for old Bill. You know, it doesn't do anything because we've proved it. Millions went, well, I don't know. I reckon it was probably 2 million people was up at Westminster at one time, a while back.
But
the government totally ignored it.
Yeah, you stand in the street, right? Don't even get put on the news. Everyone's sat around. Half of them are pissed on Stiller, right? Everyone's just going, yeah, fuck the government and all the rest.
Well, that's the trouble, because you're always going to get radicals, no matter which side of the fence you're on.
Right.
You're always going to get it. And all of them people that do all that just make things worse. They don't make the situation better, because that's the first thing the press point the cameras at. Yeah. And then that gets on the news. It's not the good stuff. Yeah, so you forget the good reason why you're there. You're all of a sudden, everybody's focused on the shit that goes on, you know?
And it's not just that. It's like basically everybody goes to London. I mean, we've all seen this. Gary, Stephen, you've seen this over. I mean, we've been doing this for so many years now. We've all seen a change. It went from used to be able to get a hotel room for normal money. Now, when they know that everyone's going there, the hotel prices go up. They know that everyone's going to spend money in the shops. And all it does is money for the government, because they get all the tax from all the sales. It doesn't do anyone good. I mean, I'm not putting anyone down that does the protest, because protest is a part of what we've got to do. But people are going to have to start following it up.
Well, protests only work. Protests are only successful when they're on the news. They're advertised, because every home in the country's got a TV in it. So whatever goes out there, everybody sees it. So protests only work really when they're on the mainstream media. They ain't going to work.
And we know that the media is a massive barrier between us and reality. So it's never actually going to be portrayed the way it is anyway. So even if you get a French style investment of energy and you go do your thing for a day, still what? If the news aren't portraying it to the rest of the world, which they're not going to do, right? They're not going to do it. This is why we need to get back to the lawful way of doing things. We need to go through the courts. We don't need to go through the media.
It's not just the courts. It's not going through the courts. There's other stuff we have to do first. The only way, and I keep saying, the only way we're going to do anything is if people uphold the laws that they need to. We don't have to go to courts. We need to do Article 61. I mean, Gary, just as an example, do you remember a few years back, just before we stopped going to marches because it wasn't no use? Do you remember that massive march? And I swear to God, there must have been about 1 million people there. And everybody's Facebook, they shut down all the internet towers, so nobody's live streams worked. Nobody could get on Facebook. Nobody could publicise it. Literally for the whole time. And we brought London to a standstill. And not a single person found out about it because they just shut down all the towers. And that's all they do.
Well, if you look at what we did, what Mr. Lang's just been on about, if you look at when we went into Caen, right, all our good work was all undone because Kevin held that bloody American flag up. So then we become Trump supporters, and we was there protesting against Caen because of Trump, because he wouldn't let, because at the time he was saying Trump weren't welcome. And the real reason we was there, all got shunned and put to the back because of that one bloody incident.
Yep, and that annoys me because everybody was told categorically before, no other thing, all we're there for is just to do that and focus on that. And all of a sudden he had to whip that flag out, make it into something else. He knew what he was doing and he thought he was clever. I mean, don't get me wrong, it went global, every single newspaper and station in the world. I mean, to this day, nobody has actually managed to get as much coverage as we did when we arrested Khan and Starmer and that lot. But again, but it failed because we went there, done it all, proved it. We to the point where we are the only group, and there was only about 9 of us, and after that it was what, 3-4 of us. It was me, you, Susie, and one other that carried it on to actually push it. Yeah. We actually proved evidence of crimes committed. We actually got not a crime reference number. We actually got the reference number to state that evidence of crimes is proven. So the only thing it had to do is go to CPS in the court case, but CPS threw it back because there was enough people backing it. So
you didn't fail, mate. You never failed. The people failed you by not backing it, right? You got it right.
Exactly. All these people that go on the protests, if they would have actually just sent the letter in, they would have been on trial by now. They would have been, because we already had them guilty, because we had the evidence there. It was a open and shut case. The police said that as well. In fact, the police were quite dismayed the fact that CPS threw it back because there's so much overwhelming evidence that it should have gone. Again,
you know what annoyed me more than anything with that, Nath? Sorry, Kylie. What annoyed me more than anything with that? all these Patriots that was around at the time, instead of backing us and pushing it with us, they just stayed silent.
You know why though, Gary? There's too many goddamn egos out on the street. This is the problem that we've got. People they want to be the savior. That you literally gave them. You gave them what they needed. The remedy was there. All it would take is all these people to dress down their egos slightly. Go, do you know what? These boys have done it and they're working it.
Some charge you for it and all.
Hey, what?
Yeah.
Some charge you for it and all.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Oh, fucking yeah. I've got GoFundMe because I need to get my eyebrows on fleek for next week when I'm on fucking camera again. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's mental. You've done the job already. This is where every single person, everyone in this movement, every single person in this movement needs to check themselves, because we have got the solution. It's there. It's done. It was free. It was free. All you needed to do was put and invest your energy into something that doesn't mean you're the most important fucking person on the planet. These people can't
handle. It's still the remedy now.
Yeah, exactly, Gary. This is the whole point. This is what we need to be driving and pushing. You know, it's these people, these massive names on the internet, and I've got this GoFundMe, and I've got that GoFundMe, and I've got this cause, and I've got no. We need to really fucking look at the point here. We've got the same demons fucking us over, and we've got the remedy already there, tried and tested by you lads, already done, right? All it takes is a bit of a dressing down of yourself. You're not going to be the most important person here, right? Just
it's like me,
Article 61.
It's like me and Nathan. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like me and Nathan and Steve and everybody who was in the Dragons when we set it all up. It wasn't us that was ever going to get your country back. It was the Magna Carta. It was Article 61. It was lawful rebellion. It's the tools that was already there. It's not us. We're just using what was given and showing people the way. That's all it was. It was never ever going to be us as people. It was always going to be your constitution, Article 61, that was going to get you your country back, and still will.
And that's the thing. When we first started, nobody knew about common law. Nobody knew about the Constitution. By the time we'd done the Khan event, and it did take us a couple of years after that, and it's now public knowledge. Everyone's speaking about the Constitution and common law now. But this is the point we always get to. We done it all. Me and Gary and the rest of us, we don't charge. We give all the information out for free, and we help everyone for free. But we've got people who plagiarise. Now, I'm not being funny. There's a hell of a lot of people out there claiming to be common law experts who don't know anything. I mean, we've got a massive constitutional group that didn't even know Scotland doesn't have Article 61. Now, a lot of people in the beginning wanted proof. They said, I don't believe it, I don't want proof, because for some reason people thought that because the government, the very people that don't want you having your rights, because they said you haven't got these rights, everyone just went, oh, okay then. Well, it's not true. The simple fact of the matter is, I've court orders with it being stated in it. At no point have I've gone to magistrates, Crown Court and Family Court with Article 61, the Bill of Rights and a few other things. At no point has it ever been rebutted, because they can't. But if people actually got behind it, I mean, people got to realise, in 2001, when Article 61 was invoked, it was invoked lawfully. And it was invoked by the barons, the 25 barons. 4 of them took it to Parliament. What a lot of people got to realise is the House of Lords is the highest court in our lands. There is no higher. So if the highest court in our lands have said that it's lawful and they've enacted a lawful process, and by law, we all have to actually enter. But for some reason, people are going, well, the government says there's only 4 clauses. It's like, well, no. And actually, I've spent the last couple of years, and if people actually bother to go and check now, you'll see that the government's changed their wording on their websites and everything. It's no longer, it's not enforced. They've changed it to what clauses are valid. And you've got to understand, this is what clauses the British Constitution feel as valid. Why, if you look on the statute books, they are constitutional statutes. They are not constitutional laws. You'll find the laws in the document. If you want to look at the statute books, you'll only find a statute.
Yeah, everything they've done, Nathan, is it not? What do they call it? Ultra virus. I think it's Latin.
Ultra virus.
Beyond their powers, right? Everything that they've done with this whole lockdown situation, it's not even law. It's literally an emergency situation, which I believe it was in March of 2019. They said
March 2019, it was downgraded from a high consequence infectious disease, which means
Exactly.
legally and lawfully it's not a pandemic. The only reason it could be a pandemic is if people actually act like it is. And that's what they've done. They've got the press and the media to make it so you think that it's a pandemic. So therefore, I mean, they've created a situation. What people don't realise is like, for instance, the vaccines. It's not been approved by the FDA in any single shape or form. It's only been approved to be used in emergency use. The problem is, what they've done is they've released a trial. Exactly, they've released a trial, and everyone believes that this trial is actually the pandemic.
Under emergency, so they keep rolling it out.
Well, this is the thing.
The rich get rich and the poor get poorer.
Pretty much.
Plus, if everyone's jabbed, they got control, more control.
Well, this is the thing. You make a good point there, Dan, because what people don't realise is once you take this jab, I mean, it's already been ruled in America in a court that once you've had, because it's gene manipulation, so they've changed your genes. So technically speaking, you come out of the realm of being a human, and an American court has actually ruled on this. You become transhuman, which means you lose all rights that you had under being a human. You're no longer, because you're not a human. And what happens is you actually become a product of the company that you took the jab of. And
hey, wait a minute. That could work in our favour then. Because if we become a trans group, that means we're a minority and we'd be better looked after.
If we get some dinghies.
Rainbows and unicorns.
This is the thing. But this is the thing. This is where people have actually got to start to understand certain things. I mean, it's like, for instance, our armed forces. Now, I understand the pride they have, but the armed forces have got to realise something. The British is, or Britain is a corporation, the same as the UK Limited is a corporation. Okay, a lot of the armed forces and vets that sort of have a go at me because I say no, it's English, Scottish, Welsh, and Irish, because that's what makes up the British Army. I mean, we've still got the
indoctrinated. They are the people that spend their lives getting taught what's right and wrong and what to do. Yeah. So if you're reaching out for them, it's going to be few and far between.
Well, no, because a lot of them are coming around, but what they don't like to hear is the fact that if you claim to be British, you only have the rights under the corporation, which is the Human Rights Act.
They've been taught that being British isn't correct.
They don't get it, though. They don't get it.
Their sole, so I said, their whole job is to be fucking what's to do with themselves.
And this is a lot. I mean, it's not just the armed forces. A lot of people got to understand this. Like Britain's been known by many names. One of its most famous names is the British East India Tea Company. Now, this is I explained something about why we have an army, because the British East India Tea Company are the only corporation ever in the history of corporations to have its own standing army. Now, everything that people slate the English for was actually done by the British East India Tea Company. So all the atrocities.
Who's running that company?
Well, the Queen is actually the head. She's the main trustee.
Okay, he used to ask the Queen permission.
No, anyway, let me finish. But it's like, basically, in a nutshell, this corporation had its own standing army. I mean, all the atrocities in China, the whole lot, was all done under the flag of that corporation, not England at all in any way, shape, or form. If you actually look back in history,
everyone speak English.
Take the English Navy. We've still got an English Navy. The English Navy ended slavery and it's ended a lot of atrocities around the world. But the British Army are mainly the ones that done it. But this is what people got to realise. Under our laws, we are not allowed to have a standing army in peacetime. So what happens is, instead of having the English Army or the Welsh Army or the Irish Army or the Scottish Army, what happens is they get rented to the British corporation. And that's a bit a lot of people don't understand and can't seem to grasp. We actually rent out ourselves to a corporation. And that's the bit that grasps most people, because a lot of people don't realise once you claim you are British, the only rights you have is as a sovereign. And as a sovereign, you're either English, Welsh mainly, and you've got to be a sovereign. If you claim to be British, then the only rights you have is under the Human Rights Declaration, which in the preamble, if you read it, it states quite clearly them rights are only to be taken in consideration. So all these people that are saying, oh, human rights, they can take that away from you at any time they like. But if we're talking about unalienable rights or inalienable rights, which is an international term, they can't take that away because it's God-given. The moment
that's the key word, isn't it? God-given.
Yeah.
Because
The moment
what you got, the rights that you think you've got were written by them. They're giving you your rights. Are they all powerful then to be able to do that?
Well, that's it, because you give your consent to that, and this is what a lot of people don't realise. I mean, I've never voted for a reason. I am sovereign. I've got all my rights intact. I've never voted because when you vote, what you actually do, you actually consent. I mean, people got. I mean, I've not.
I'm not going to vote for a lying twat. Full stop. It's that blatant. It's that simple.
I mean, a lot of people sit there and they say the same thing, and a lot of
They're
people,
all liars, though, aren't they? You know, there's not. They've got to lie. It's the only way the system works. It don't work if you tell the truth.
I mean, this is what I don't understand about a lot of these so-called constitutional experts and common law experts, because they're missing one simple thing. And now I'm going to say this because I'm the only person that I know who's even mentioned this, but people need to read the Representation of the People Act, because it all comes from there. It comes from 1701, the Representation of the People's Act. If you claim to be British, you are no longer English, you do not have any rights. That's why they override us in court. That's why you become a ward of state in a court, because you are owned.
Yeah.
This is people got to start. I mean, we've had loads of people. I mean, take Dave Witcher when he tries to just go to court and give your birth certificate back. It doesn't work like that. What you've got to do is you've got to basically attack the because it is a contract. This is what a lot of people don't realise. Your birth certificate is a contract, and what people don't know is because it's a cross between contract law and trust law. They both work in tandem, but both in trust law and contract law, if there is non-full disclosure, the contract is void at the very moment that you announce that there has been no full disclosure. Every contract has to have full disclosure, and they didn't give full disclosure. In fact, actually, I've said it a lot and I get laughed at, but it goes further than that. It goes back to wording again. And I keep telling everyone, I've done for so many years, context and diction. You read, anyone listens to the Queen's speech or most of her things she said over the years, listen to the wording she uses. Okay, the Queen is the number one trustee, and we are trustees of her. And this is what a lot of people don't get. It's a symbiotic relationship. But the problem is, the Queen, when she first started, was actually wrong in the first place. She actually subverted the law and subverted her position. That's why a lot of courts kick it back and don't listen to it, even though they take an oath to uphold it, because where the Queen, in her own wording, pretty much disbanded her obligations under the coronation oath. And this is where the wording comes in.
Parliament.
Yeah and no. Since 2001, Parliament assumed sovereignty because of the Nice Treaty. And this is what a lot of people don't realise. That's why Parliament's sovereign. But by law, Parliament can't be sovereign, because the only thing that could be sovereign is a living entity. Yeah. A fiction cannot be sovereign.
Parliament is fiction.
It is. Group. No,
and don't forget, Nath, it was in the coronation oath where she set up this trust, what we're all in now, because when she said in sincerity,
yes,
to be
exactly.
correct, it should, and when to be correct, she should have actually said in all sincerity.
Yeah, well, this is where a lot of people this is the problem about our schooling. Grammar. This is where grammar needs. This is where grammar comes in, because a lot of people haven't been taught the proper grammar. We're taught what you call a bastardized version of grammar. It's like you say, in sincerity.
How dare you?
The thing is, the context of a word.
Yeah, do you remember going back? Sorry to interrupt, Nath, but do you remember when Khan was on? He was on every news channel and radio station and just about everywhere at one time a little while back. All you ever heard him say is Parliament must remain sovereign, right? That's all he ever said in all of his interviews.
Which basically meant glass me up.
Yeah, but for him to say must remain sovereign, that also, there's a separate meaning to that, which means that if it must remain, therefore it can be taken away.
Yeah.
Right, but they don't say that, you see. They let you work that one out for yourself.
When they say Parliament must remain sovereign, what they're actually doing there is, because what happened is with the Nice Treaty, when the government signed it, They signed over to the EU. I mean, it's not the EU Parliament because it's worthless. It's actually the EU Commission. It's the 15 unaccountable, unelected bureaucrats. That's why if you listen to any EU speech from Hofstadter or anyone, they say you must give up your sovereignty, because the whole point is if once our sovereignty goes, we have no inalienable rights. We have nothing of protection. And that's another reason why the government says and people keep trying to say we have no constitution. The constitution is not there for government, the police, or the courts to bat us over the head with. The constitution is there to bind them to the laws, so they've got rules of engagement. And unfortunately, where we're not taught it anymore, we do not hold them to account. And this is what needs to happen. People got a choice. You can either go with your human rights and it's going to be taken away and you're going to land up with nothing, or you can actually wake up and actually understand the fact the very people that are telling you don't have these rights are the very people trying to take these away from you. Okay, the government don't want us to have sovereignty, don't want us to have our rights, because we are more powerful than them, because the people are the law.
Yeah.
Well, we're meant to be the
Simple.
law. No, well, we're not united enough. We don't stand up enough.
It doesn't matter if we're united or not. The
Well,
fact
of
of the
course it
matter,
does.
it's not. The fact of the matter is, whether we're united or not, we are
When
the
we're
law.
segregated and split apart in fucking fractions like this, excuse me French, when we're put in fractions like this, then we're not united, and we're only dangerous when we're united.
Yeah, that's true, but it doesn't stop us being sovereign. It doesn't stop us being the law. The only reason why, the only thing that stops us being the law is the fact of, and people got to realise, especially in family court, they've taken away jury nullification. And this is the bit people have got to understand about the law. It doesn't matter whether it's Parliament, a judge, or whatever. A jury of 12 can overrule both. Parliament have only got the lawful authority to create legislation. Okay? We are the ones that decide on the laws, but the problem is nobody is actually standing up and upholding the laws. The only laws actually that are being jury nullification or actually upholding your rights. The actually standing in Parliament at the moment is the only laws that are being upheld is that of the Remembrancer, because the Remembrancer is the only one going in there and upholding laws. We are not upholding our laws because we are voting for the treasonous government, and this is what people don't get. You vote for the government and you give them your sovereignty. Okay, so everything they do is not in their name; it's in your name, and you actually give consent for Parliament to do whatever they want for 4 years. So you give your consent, and then for the next 4 years they can do what they want, and you said yes already. This is why people need to understand. It's people like Graham Moore. He's got basically, everyone says he knows his constitution. If he knew his constitution, he'd know damn well that he shouldn't be trying to go into Parliament because it's treasonous. Anybody who votes, anybody involves themselves with Parliament is committing treason.
But why? Listen, what you got to look at, Nath, is why he's successful and gets people to follow him. It's because people, to grasp what you're talking about, you understand it, right? But the vast majority of people won't, and that's the problem. And to get everybody up to your level would take far too long. By then, whatever's going to happen has happened, right? The problem is there's no leaders. We don't have leaders like we used to have years ago, right? We've got a Parliament that is pathetic.
He knows it.
Shut up.
What's that?
Nathan needs to step up because he knows it. He can speak for himself.
Well,
he knows it.
You do, but then you've also the only way to beat these people is on their own ground anyway. We know that, right? So you've got to try and get it into some court or some court of law somewhere, because if you can't do that, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter what you do on the streets. You've seen demonstrations. Tommy Robinson himself said years ago, the street movement is over. Right?
But this is where it thinks, because we don't need a court. This is the beautiful thing about Article 61. You do not have to be at my level or have my understanding.
Yes, you do.
No, Article 61 was written for the common man to understand. If you read Article 61, it tells you exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, but
you remove taxes, then remove them out of the
common man will get lost after you say Article 61.
No.
Okay, what are you going to do?
Have you ever read it?
No, tell me.
Exactly. Well,
what it is, it's not just the fact that they don't understand it. It's also because they think that somewhere along the line they've probably heard somebody on the news media say it doesn't exist anymore or it's been repealed. Somewhere they've heard that. So it's faith in what you're talking about. It's people are so pre-programmed into going to vote every 5 years that they think there's no other way. And that is why you keep getting one party or the other in power. And until you change people's way of thinking, and that comes with education, unfortunately, and it depends what education you've had. If you've had a comprehensive or secondary modern education, you ain't going to know nothing about that because you're not taught it in school.
So what it needs to happen, if the movement wants to go forward, you need to be able to break it down for the common person who don't believe to understand and figure out.
Yes, that's a good idea, but it would be very difficult to break down that because it's so encompassing and includes acts of parliament. There are some acts of parliament which are intertwined with common law, like drink driving for a start. That's an act of parliament, right? It's an act, but it makes sense, doesn't it? Right? We don't want people pissed up driving around killing everybody, right? But that's an act, it's not law.
And I abide by the 10 Commandments.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, well, it all covers it, doesn't it? I mean, no loss, no harm, no injury covers just about everything, really, when you think about it.
The problem we have is we have a lot of people that are basically, like I said in the beginning, no one knew about the Constitution, no one knew about common law. So it's not a case people can't grasp this because people have. The problem what we have is we have a lot of people who get older just a little bit and then they run off going, I can make money on this. I mean, we've got a group that's going around the country charging people £25 a time to teach them apparently their common law rights. Well, not be funny. I could do that for free in 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's always going to happen, though, because people will think, oh, well, if I'm paying for it, it must be okay. It must be the real thing because I'm paying for it. It's all psychological, mate.
Exactly, but this is the thing. A lot of people as well go, well, how do you prove Article 61? Well, I've proven it in every single court. I'm not being funny. Temmie's on the panel here. Temmie's watched me in court and watched it never be rebutted. In fact, Temmie's actually watched barristers and that lot get quite stumped when I'm talking because they've got nothing to come back on it with. But the problem is everyone says about, look, put it this way, I'll give you the easiest key because there's no other constitution, it's not Graham or nobody else has actually put this together, okay? The key to Article 61, it being lawful, okay? In their own statutes, in the 4 statutes that they've actually, constitutional statutes they've allowed in the statute books, they've got they've clause 1 of the Magna Carta.
Right, now you've already now you've got one. Right, just say what Article 61 is blatantly. Yeah, for everyone that doesn't know, for as many viewers as there are, yeah, just put it down in a nutshell, yeah, what Article 61 actually is.
Well, I'll do that in a minute when I link. Okay, right. If people want to know how you prove Article 61 is still in force, okay. Now, if you look at the 4 constitutional statutes they have on the book, they've got clause 1 of the Magna Carta. Now, if you look at the last paragraph of clause 1, it clearly states that everything coming after clause 1 is there in perpetuity. It means it cannot be taken away unless the people agree. It is also backed up in clause 61 and clause 63. That's why they don't want to acknowledge them, because it's there in perpetuity. It's just people don't read it. Now, Article 61, if people actually bother to read it, is in plain English. It tells you exactly what you can do and exactly what you can't do. It says you have the right to enter into this if there is tyranny. What you need to do is remove your taxes, so you stop paying government, so therefore you're not complicit in their crimes, and you have the right to forcibly remove them if it takes that. And it is that simple. It's just nobody bothers to read the actual clause. Everyone seems to think it's really complicated and it's too hard. And then when people start getting over that and actually read the goddamn thing, you'll understand it. It is written in plain English, and Article 60, Clause 61 is completely different to any other clause. The wording is different. The wording is in plain English. It is meant to be so somebody can read it out and everybody, because you've got to remember at the time, no one could read or write. The clause was actually written so the people who can't read and write could understand it and know exactly what they have to do. But the problem we have is we have a lot of people who want to sound really, really fucking clever, like lawful dissent, and try and make a big fucking hash of it to make themselves look better. So it's like, well, you can't do anything without me. Simple fact of the matter is, no one can lead this. It has to be a group. It has to be everybody at the time. I don't care if you're in the army, in the police force. I don't care if you're a or a brain. Nobody is above anybody in Article 61. And Article 61 is the highest can take in this land up the coronation oath. So your police's oath, your army oath, the whole lot comes below Article 61. It's the highest oath anybody can take. Yeah.
And the easiest way to say it in layman's terms is it's your lawful and moral duty to go into lawful rebellion when there's tyranny.
Yes, exactly. That's what a lot of people miss, isn't it, Gary? It's not just something that we can do; we're supposed to do it. It's our duty.
You're morally
to
obligated and lawful. It's morally and it's your moral and lawful duty to do it.
Yes, but we're in a country where morals are vastly disappearing.
We're living in a country where people put a fucking face nappy on to go to Asda's. We're working with idiots.
Anybody basically now who's not in Article 61 is complicit in the treason. Simple as.
Yeah, that is a law. I mean, I'm not being funny. People say that common law and that don't work and the Constitution don't work. I mean, now, David Russell, right? I'm not going to go into details of his thing, but David Russell was up in magistrates' court for a driving offence. I'm hoping one day he'll actually admit what actually happened, because that's another thing as well. It's a lot of patriots who have seen it work who are keeping their mouth shut because they might be put in a situation. But I actually overtook the magistrates' court, and I'm the only one that I know who's actually done it successfully. I overtook the magistrates' court, and I did the ruling. There was witnesses there that actually witnessed this, and I made the ruling, and Davey didn't have anything. Literally, it disappeared because I overruled the court. Because what people don't realise is, as a sovereign, and like I said, I didn't enter into the court. I was in the public gallery, and there's a reason why the public gallery is usually higher than everybody else, because as a sovereign and as a member of the public, you're actually higher than everybody in the court. What I did is I used a lot of my knowledge to prove that I knew more than the magistrates, and the magistrates made the mistake of stating, well, you clearly know the law, and it seems to be a lot more than we do, so maybe you should come down and represent him. I said, thank you for giving way. I now take over this court. And basically I took over the court and I made the ruling for Davey. But he's still to this day, and this is the thing, Davey could have been told the truth about this a long time ago, but he didn't. And this is a problem. A lot of people who have seen this work don't say anything. I mean, Temi, you're here. How many times have you seen me in court and do what I do?
I've been there all the time, right from the first court to the last court. And yes, indeed, on the first court, I remember the judge being very rude to you. And as soon as you started telling what the law was, he actually shut up and gave us recess and read papers. And then he was on your side. He insisted for you to take it further because he said you had a case, a lawful case, and that he couldn't go through the law because he only dealt with legislation. So you had to take it further.
Exactly. Where it was in a magistrate's court, even though he was a judge, he only had the power of a magistrate at the time, so he couldn't overrule certain things. So all he could do was deal with the matter at the hand, and that, I believe, was the fact that I was with a group of more than 2 people, because Andy decided to come running over and be all emotional. And in fact, is it true or is it not, Tammy, that judge actually praised me for my knowledge of the law, and he actually praised CMW and said it'd be a good thing to have more things like CMW teaching the people their rights and the law.
Indeed, that's what he said, and there should be more people like yourself, going around, teaching exactly what the law is, and not just that, all the paperwork that you had, and they were supposed to be handed up at the police station. He actually included in your case.
Is that judge still alive?
He is.
Hopefully he still is. But,
yeah.
This is the thing.
I'd get his name and remember to have it tattooed on my arse if I were you, because it's as rare as rock in all shit.
Well, this is the thing. That actually case went to the High Court. That's how far it actually went. And in the High Court, the judge actually committed a crime. He tried making it primary legislation out like he committed crimes, and I actually notified the judge. I said, "You've committed a crime," and I actually notified him. I said, "As soon as any of you Crown servants try and recoup that fine, you broke the law, and I'm going to be suing every single one of you." To this day, they still haven't even attempted to recoup that fine at all. As far as I know, it's not, the guilty plea, the guilty verdict is not even on my record. So for some reason, that case has disappeared. And what keeps happening to me in court, they either don't let me get in court, or for some reason afterwards it just disappears.
No, I think that you'll probably find it's because they know that you could drag it out and they don't want to do it. So they'll probably try and avoid it and hope you just go away, I expect, like they normally do.
I mean, I've actually got court orders.
Yeah, you cost them way too much money just by fucking dragging it out.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not being funny. I know how to do pre-trial hearings and stuff like that. I can drag a case out.
Well, they're all on a budget, you know what I mean? They're going to get paid no matter what, but it's still on a bloody budget.
But the thing is, though, what I did, though, is that in the last one, where I done a clever bit of wording, and I made the judge actually liable. That's the whole point. I said, as soon as you try and take it from me, it's a crime because you're liable to pay the fine.
Yeah, well, that's why they don't want you in court, mate.
But it is.
Yeah, they got people in court as well at the minute that they've got to justify the cases that they deal with, haven't they? At the minute, because there's such a backlog. So what they'll do is they'll look through all the pending cases, the ones that have been outstanding the longest, and the ones they're going to make most money from, and then they'll deal with those first. And the ones that are not as important to them, they'll deal with them in due course.
Well, I'll have to let you know.
I mean, let's face it. I mean, take Michael Benicia. Now, I swear to God, 2 years ago, Hancock was meant to be in prison. He's about to bring another case. I don't know why, but every single case that man brings is something to do with money. There's always a payday at the end of it, and I'm not the only one to actually bring this up. I believe Del Irons and that lot and a few other people have brought this up. But it's like Michael Benicia. I would like to know one thing. It's like, how is it that we can walk into the Fabian Society and we can do what you call due process, and we proved evidence of a crime committed? The only thing we lacked on is the people backing it. Whereas we've got people like Michael Benicia and literally groups of solicitors and barristers have tried bringing these people to justice. We're the only ones that's ever managed to get anywhere close. Yet still to this day, because we don't charge money and all people have to do is basically just put a bit of paper in and say, I back this, for some reason people walk away from it and go, oh no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to put my name to it. And this is what I don't understand.
Everyone's scared to go out. That's why, because the government has made sure everyone's scared to go out.
But people will go to London and they'll march knowing that they've got facial recognition. And not being funny. I'm not being funny. People should understand this now. Look at the adverts for the new phones and about how they can stop the blurriness and that lot on your phone. Okay, facial recognition is coming in. In January, they're bringing the social credit score system. Yes, but in January, they're bringing the social credit score system. And this is what people got to realise. You go to London, you're all being documented. So why, if you're willing to go to London, you've got groups literally that just want to go to London and kick off, drag these people out of Parliament. Well, I ask this. If you are brave enough to do that, why ain't you brave enough to sign a bit of paper and have these people actually prosecuted?
They're not there for the legalities. They're there because they're pissed off with everything. They've got a joint understanding, of everyone being pissed off, and they know something's wrong. You've got to remember, these people ain't like the fingers. They're not the sheep. They're the herd.
Exactly. They would rather throw their weight around to feel like they've actually done something when they don't understand. Signing that signature and understanding the document you've just signed is so much more powerful than throwing a right hook and a left hook and all this kind of thing. They want to get pissed up. They want to go do this. They're like, oh, look, I was in London. I was in London today.
Yeah, look, I've seen you on TV.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah. Look, 13 minutes and 14 seconds. That was me in the fucking back with the fucking camera. I was there changing the world.
It's a lot of anger. It's a lot of anger in people, and what happens? It comes out sometimes in the wrong way. If people were to channel that anger into something a little bit better, then you would get further with it. But that takes somebody to lead them. You can't expect it. What you get is mob mentality, and then you've got thousands, 100,000 people protesting. You've got something like 6,000 police, and they manage to control 100,000 people, 6,000 police. So What
Yeah,
you
okay.
got? You look. Yeah, but you look at that. Sorry, but you look at that, and you've got to understand why that is, and that is because the 100,000 people that are there are not controlled. They're not under any guidance. It's not like the police. The police don't act on their own. They are told what to do and where to stand and how to react and how to do it. They're trained in that. And the 100,000 people that are up there have no training whatsoever. So unless you've got somebody who controls that 100,000 people, if you did have, you'd soon see those 6,000 police back away, because that's what they're trained to do. If they feel under threat, they will back away.
Yeah,
right?
that's agreeable, 100% agreeable. But if you're going to get a leader, then you need somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Absolutely, yeah. So you need someone with some. You've got to have somebody with some sort of, even if it's a little bit of military training, because it's quite obvious to me that if those 100,000 people formed a box of four people, all in a box, you not only see every angle, north, west, south, and east. You can't. No one can grab you out of that box.
Yep.
You need someone who's got a voice, who's not afraid to put their voice across, who knows what they're talking about. Yeah. Even if it takes, 5, 10, 20, 50 people surrounding that person get up on the podium. Yeah. You need somebody who knows what they're talking about, who can make people think.
It needs to be somebody that's doing it also for the right reasons, not for ego, not because I'm not doing a selfie over here. It needs to be somebody that is just strategically minded. That they're doing it for the right reasons. That they're coordinating things because it's the right thing to do, not because it's going to make them famous on Facebook the next day.
That's right.
You're literally thinking with the bare minimal, like you were saying there, Stephen, like a military brain. You have to imply something.
It has to be part, at least know a little bit about it, because at the end of the day, that's where these tactics come from. Where do you think the police get it from? They don't think it up themselves. They go back on, what works with crowds and one thing and another. They know exactly what they're doing.
It's doing that and being humble at the same time. You need to find somebody that's got the balance of not being the big dick about the situation, just doing it because they know that's what is right and what's working. You need to be able to be strategic and do these things, but also not go, right, this is going to make the papers on Monday. Well, we've got so many egos in this movement, that whatever you want to call the fucking movement.
But sometimes you do need to make the papers because that's how you make the statement. I know the papers lie. They're always going to lie, and they're going to make it bad. But as Frank Sinatra said in *76, any publicity is good publicity. It gets the point out there, even if it's a bad point of view. Yeah, we're still thinking of you. They know who.
Get that.
Could I say, going back to what you said about doing something in the right thing that works? Okay, now. And egos. Now, I sat back for a whole year, right, and I watched groups of solicitors. I watched other common law groups and constitutional groups all putting out notices and notice of liabilities to schools and things like that for a whole year. They never got a single return on anything they sent. Now, I done a lawful notice for schools, and every single person that sent the one in from CMW got a reply within hours. And the reply was always, we do not intend to jab your child or do anything of this like that. And all I did is I just done it. Don't get me wrong. There's not a lot to the notice, but this is what people don't realise. The wording I use is so defined, there is no avenue for interpretation.
Yeah.
And you've got a copy of it, I think, Kaylee. I mean,
yes, I do. This again, I don't want to kiss your ass too much, but I'm going to, because this is why I love you guys and what you do. Right? You've taken.
I knew it would get smutty. I knew it.
Oh no, serious. These dudes.
If I'm being honest, I can't in your voice.
He has got one.
Talk some more for me, please.
Can I just add up on that, about the letter of the school? I actually sent it for mine one at school, and I got a phone call today. It's the last day of school today, stating if they could actually make or do a test for my child, and I said no. So they actually asked. They didn't just go for it and did it. So it is working.
Are you saying they actually gave you a child? I've got a letter from Lord Bethel from 1.5 years ago because I saw that this was coming, so I got onto that case. Obviously, YouTube takes everything down. Are you saying they gave your child a test without your consent?
No, they were going to, but they rang me because I sent the letter. Well, it's not a letter, it's a notice, and they have to ring me before they do anything. They have to give me a call, and they gave me a call, and I said no, he's not allowed. Nevertheless, my family was asked
sorry
to see if he wanted to have one, and he said no, and they left it. So I had to go and pick him up because he had a bit of the cough. Okay, that's fine. The last day doesn't matter. But it did work, the letter, because they actually rang me. They didn't force on him to have as other parents have done.
Well, if you want, I've got a letter, email from Lord Bethel saying that no, they can't. This was 1.5 years ago. They can't. A lot of us saw this coming, right? Nathan, Gary, obviously, CMW, you knew it was coming. We've all kind of been in this game around it. They can't. None of this is lawful. None of it is lawful. It's all ultra virus anyway, which isn't even applicable anymore. Sorry, Nathan. Go on.
Literal GBH.
Actually, technically speaking,
it is not a weapon. It's GBH. Any needle, anything like that is GBH.
No, ultravires is completely different. Ultravires is
they put needle, just that needle. So let alone what's in that needle.
Yeah, but that's
just
not
the needle.
Yeah,
GBH.
that's GBH, but that's not ultravires. Ultravires is a heinous crime. It's above GBH. But it's like going back to the notice that we wrote that like Temmie sent in and stuff like that. What it actually does is it actually takes all the power away from all the authorities. It actually puts yourself back into control.
For that.
He hasn't because he can't change the law, but that's why the notice is still working. And he
changed the doctors last like 3-4 months into the first pandemic era.
He hasn't changed any laws. They've made mandates, which a mandate under law has to have an acceptance.
Listen. If something was safe 100% and you was a doctor and you believed it was 100% safe and it wasn't going to harm you in any way, right? Why is it if you were to ask that doctor before he wanted to inject you with it to sign something that says if anything happens to me in the future, which is deemed to found that's happened to me because of that injection that you want to give me, right? You sign this to say you're liable. I'll guarantee you that doctor will not sign that form, even though he's telling you it's 100% safe.
Of course he won't.
That's the whole point. That's how simple it is. This is why people are getting like really confused about, oh, this is so complicated. It's not.
People don't understand the common tongue. They don't understand the simple basic text. Yeah, there's differences in wording, and people just don't get that because they don't want to get that. They're just quite happily being.
Yeah, look up all these terms under the Black's Law Dictionary because that's what it is.
Black's Law Dictionary. We use the Oxford Dictionary of Law in England.
It's all done to confuse you. The more confusion they can cause, the more easier you're more malleable. You know, they can mold you into what they want that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, going back to the notice I CMW wrote for the schools and that lot, the reason why it's so successful is because basically, instead of doing what most people do and trying to go on human rights, what I did is I waited for certain bits to happen and I used precedent. And that precedent overrules any legislation, mandates, or anything like that. That's why it's so powerful. And like I said, it's not got a lot of wording to it. And a lot of people would think that'd be really easy because it looks like there's not a lot of wording, but it was actually quite difficult to write that. This is what people don't understand. It was actually very difficult to write that because you've got to make it so the courts cannot interpret your words.
Can we be like Cheech and Chong?
Anyway, guys, I'm going to have to go because it's 2:15 in the morning here.
Oh, right, Gary, yeah, you're ahead of us, mate.
What we'll do now, if we'll go live later in the week, Mr. Lang, if you want to do a show this weekend, let's just do it.
Yeah, I may well do, Gary. If I do, I'll definitely be in touch, mate. Definitely.
Okay.
Gary,
I'll listen for the. Sorry?
Sorry. Gary, it's been an absolute meeting. Honestly, it's been a.
You're meeting when you next.
Yes,
week.
You take care, fella.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much, mate.
I'll speak to you at some point tomorrow night.
Okay, mate. Yeah, give me a bell.
Look after yourself,
And
dude.
I will carry on listening for a little bit, but I'm knackered now. I'll probably drop off in a minute.
Nice one, dude.
All right,
That's
so
fine. That's fine. Thank you
Getting
so
old,
much.
Cheers,
mate. You're
guys.
getting old.
Yeah, I am, Mr. Lang, you're right there.
Staff now, don't you?
No, I can't get the stuff now. All right, then. I'll speak to you later, guys.
All
Bye.
right, Gary. Look after yourself, buddy.
Bye.
Stay safe, Gary.
I mean, to go back to the thing, I'm not being funny. If people understood that there is a difference between legal and lawful, okay, legal is the very complicated crap that they make it complicated, so it basically discombobulates you to the point where you don't know what's up.
Bullshit you need to do 8 years in university for, right? When the law is literally just under our feet already.
Well, I've actually just argued this with a judge in court because the judge tried.
Stay safe, Gary.
See that go. I stated to the judge that she's not lawfully trained, and she got rather upset, took umbrage, and sort of had a bit of a go at me and said she is. My reply to that was, okay then, who's lying then? Is it the Bar Association or you? Because since 1953, the Bar Association has openly admitted that they removed 90% of constitutional common law from the bar exam, making the exam a legal exam, not a lawful exam. And this is where we fail in courts. This is why. And under Article 61, we don't go to courts. The only time we go to courts under Article 61 is at the end when it's all said and done to prove that what we did was lawful. And this is what people got to understand. If you do not go under Article 61, you have got no protection. It's not, what you do is not lawful and it's not legal. Under Article 61, what we do to take back this country and remove the tyranny is lawful. So when the court case, and there will be, like every single time, it's ever like with Magna Carta, like in the 1600s, whenever it's used, there's always going to be a court case after, because what's going to happen is the government are going to try and override what we've done. But if we're all doing it under Article 61, and basically there's a lot of people who basically haven't bothered reading it, think it's too complicated, they need to stop. Because it's so basic and so simple, and it's made that way. But the court case comes afterwards. It doesn't come before, during, or anything like that. The court case, to make it all lawful, becomes afterwards. And that's just everything we did was lawful. And as long as we've done due process, we've crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, we win. They cannot overturn what we did. Now, if everybody goes down to Parliament, and I'm telling you now, I've looked into it, so have other people, it's a no-go. No one will, by the time we get in there, we'll suffer casualties, people will die, and we'll never get our hands on a single one of them. A lot of people don't realise that there is a lot of secret entrances to Parliament. They've got a jetty in the back, and plus, people are failing to see the fact that within 2 minutes, and they have to have under 2 minutes response time, there is an army barracks that is dedicated to protect Parliament. It's a no-go. I'm not being funny. It never has been. Since the last time taking Parliament was actually even feasible is when, after World War One, the soldiers come back and marched on Parliament, and they took back the country without even firing a shot. That since then, the government have made sure. That's why we've got all the fences up and all the railings, and there's armed guards there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And how much do you learn that in history at school? Does anyone tell you that in history? These are the parts they miss out.
You're meant to believe.
Yeah.
There's nothing in school that you bloody need. When the bloody hell, did you ever go into a job and need algebra?
No, dude. When was the last time you used Pythagoras' theorem? Fucking hell.
I mean, why are you getting taught that kind of shit?
Even religious education.
Really helped me in my lifetime, man.
Pi 3.111777666669. Yeah. That comes into my everyday life.
You'd probably use it if you was into engineering somewhere along the line.
But
if you're not, you wouldn't.
Kelly, not to be a bit of a swap, but you missed the recurring.
Oh, fuck off. And by the way, can I just say, Nathan, are you telling me that, so going to court in a park doesn't work?
Funny enough, no, it doesn't.
Well, it does when you're age 16, 17. One time I ever learned about grammage and things like that is, when I left school.
Oh, don't. Oh, the things they teach us. Absolutely. It's insane.
I learned more about maths when I left school than when I was at school. My maths teacher was an absolute idiot and really didn't encourage me to do anything like that. And it was just a non-existent thing in my life. And then left school, I had to look after my own funds.
That's exactly it. You don't get taught about money at school at all.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, Nave, go on. Yeah, no, that's such a point. It's such a point. What maths do you need other than finance, really, in your everyday life? 100%. Nave, go on. Sorry, I was interrupting you there.
That's right.
No, it's basically, in a nutshell, what you get taught at school is not what you need to learn to survive. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah, it's conditioning, isn't it? It's conditioning to make us all, social robots.
Well, exactly. It's the same. You have to act the same, dress the same. Every time you go to a normal school, you're all right with the same colour tie. You're with the same blazer. You're all dressed in a certain way. And that's confirmation. That's make sure you conform. That's to make sure from an early age that you have.
It's to take away your individuality.
The thing is, they did all this years ago. They removed civics from the curriculum back in 1955. That was the last time any kid in this country was taught civics.
Yeah, they took out Latin. They took out Latin, which helps us not understand the law and how simple it is.
Well, exactly.
The basic maxims of law in Latin. If we can get that, yeah.
That's why they removed grammar schools. The only time you can get a grammar school education now is if you pay for it privately. You used to be able to get that. If you were particularly good at something, you got offered you went to a grammar school. You didn't just go to a secondary modern or a comprehensive. They didn't exist then. And then when they did, they joined forces, and then all the grammar schools were phased out into private. And the grammar school education, you learnt a lot more in that. And that was the difference. All of these kids that have passed all these exams over the last few years, and they turn around and say, well, we've suddenly got massive amount of brainy kids in the country. They're all passing and they're all getting A+ or whatever it is. It's a load of nonsense. It's because they've lowered the level of it so more people pass. It's plain and simple. You don't suddenly get masses of suddenly highly educated kids all at once, and they just happen to be going to this one particular school. That's a complete load of garbage, and people suck it up because Johnny's mummy is proud of Johnny for passing all these exams, and she's not going to put it down. She's not going to go up to school and say, listen, how comes you gave my Johnny all them stars when I know he's a thick fuck? She ain't going to do that.
Do you know what? That's even better than the mum that says, "Oh, you sing so perfectly. You've done it in a band," and then that guy literally does himself over.
Exactly. So the parents are not going to complain to the school because their kids have passed all their exams. It won't enter their heads that hang on a minute, they've done well. Yes, they've passed those exams, but how comes thousands of others have in the same school or in the area? Exactly, they might ask themselves. It might be good to ask themselves. Well, hang on a minute. Could it be because the test is actually easier than it used to be? Maybe.
To be honest, guys. I'm a school teacher. I teach from primary school to university.
Hello, Chummy.
I'm actually doing law in business. I've done the maths and all that because I got on the finance during the business degree. And to be honest, what we teach is a lot of rubbish because they learn the concept, but they cannot put it into practice. And that it's a big, big difference on that. And when you ask the students, we got at the moment where I'm working, we got over 2,000 students who actually cheated. And I have to go through one by one for all 16 units, each student on a level 2 and a level 5. All cheated and they all passed. So that's the sort of students that we actually have. On top of that, most of those students are from the Eastern Bloc. And what they've done is us, the British taxpayer, have paid for those students to actually study nothing. What they do, and I've been told this by them, they go back to Romania or Poland and they actually put their own business. So they get £10,000 a year. So they do this for 2 or 3 years, that's 30,000 pounds a year, and put the business up where they come from. That's
Yeah,
what they
I
do.
can
And they
believe
don't
it.
care if they learn or not. And that's the
Yeah.
sort of thing that we got. Forget about our English kids, you know, but it's all for the foreigners at the moment. Where I'm working at the moment, on top of that, all we got is all aliens. They don't speak English. They're so rude. They're so horrible, you know, that I'm just waiting for my contract to
Well,
finish.
people tell me people don't really understand that they don't just bring themselves when they come over. They bring their mentality with them, and
Yeah.
it's totally different to ours. And if they don't fit into our way of life, then you know this is where the problems start. And because you know we're so used to the way our lives used to be, that is what they're trying to change. They're trying to change all that, so we're less, so we're more tolerant, right? Because
but if you say that, you're racist automatically.
The schools are changing to the ways of the foreigners, and instead of them to comply for what we are and the way that we need study.
That's the whole idea. Whole idea of being British, isn't it? You know, anyone can be British, you know, but not everybody can be English. You know, there's a big difference. And funny enough, though, if you're born in Wales, you can be Welsh, and if you're born in Scotland, you can be Scottish. But no one ever seems to question that much in the mainstream media. But that's quite typical. Listen, guys, I'm going to have to say good night. It's been a pleasure. And
I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming.
I'll talk to you another time. Thanks for inviting me on.
No, it's been a pleasure. Absolutely. You look after yourself. Thank you.
I'll carry on. I'll listen in for a bit anyway. But I'll be like Gary. I'm going to probably nod off.
I reckon we'll knock it off pretty soon, I'd say, because it's been a really, really great chat. It's been a pleasure to have the people that we've had on tonight. I really do appreciate it.
All right. Cheers, all. See you later.
You look after yourself, Stephen.
Thanks to all of you have been outstanding. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, like is there anything else anybody wants to really go over, or shall we just
did need to do that video, then the second video part.
Oh, we didn't even get that. See, this is how much we got on, right? Everyone's just talking. We haven't even done the second video yet, right? Let me get that up. All right, you guys keep chatting because I'm going to do Kaylee does a technical bit now, which doesn't tend to go very well. So I'm going to try and find. I had it all set up and everything, but it was like an hour or two ago, and I'm like, oh, I need to find it. Chugga. Yes. Was it Rick? Was it the one to be continued? It was that one, wasn't it? And it was like an hour and 3 hours and 16 minutes, something around there. Yeah? Rick, you're back. I have let you in. I know you've texted me saying that you kicked yourself out, mate. You are back in. Can you talk? We're so crap at technology. It's funny. Rick, you're there. Dan, you are in, mate. You're there. You're on the screen. I don't know what else I can do. Hello, Rick. Katie calling Rick. All right. I'm just going to assume that we're in the right place. I don't know. You got to unmute yourself. Sorry, we're so bad at technology. All right, then you are there, mate. So I think this is.
Yeah, 3 hours, 16 minutes. Yeah,
Wicked. Yeah, I can hear you now. You hear me now? I can hear you.
All
right, 3 hours.
I think I'm in the back. I don't
No,
know.
you're not. You're here, mate. You're here. No, you're here. You're here.
Yeah. On to the next.
All right, we got it. But no, you're here. So.
And I'd like to just let people know ahead of time, this is going to need a bit of explaining because there's a lot to it and a lot of lies and a lot of mistruths been spread about this. But me and Gary, well, Gary's not here no more, so I'll do it myself. But it's quite easy to tell the truth, basically, and a lot of people are going to feel silly once they actually learn the truth of this.
Yeah, by all means, and it needs to be said. Like I said to you, Nathan, I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I was in touch with Sean around the same time, thinking that, this is going to be the thing that saves humanity. I was in touch with him myself, but obviously there's a lot more to it. So, yeah, guys, Seriously, you need to listen to these people. CMW, Nathan Carrington and Gary Clark, for sure. Myself and Rick do our thing. We run around doing our little bit, but these people you really need to listen to because they know what's going on. They know the ins and outs. Sorry, go on, Nathan.
We're yet to be wrong yet. So.
Exactly. Well, this is it. Exactly. This is it. Exactly.
Now, me and Gary predicted 3-4 years ago. We didn't predict. All we done was we actually just read their own documents.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. If anyone can fault.
If you want to listen and you're willing to learn, then the truth is there, and you can add the dots up for yourself, and they all lead to the same thing. It's blatant. Yeah. And if you don't want to open your eyes, and if you want to keep them blinkered, yeah, then okay, crack on, do your thing. But if you're awake, yeah, if you want to add the dots up, and if you want to fucking put 2 and 2 together, yeah, then it's the place to be.
Exactly, and they make it so easy. It's like you can be spoon-fed by the media and the bullshit that's going on Sky News and bullshit like that, or you can be spoon-fed happily and nicely by these gentlemen that have taken their life to actually go and figure out this stuff. And like he says, Nathan, they've never been proved wrong yet. They went and goddamn citizens arrested, even though the police are too dumb to know what was going on. These boys have never been they've never been reprimanded for anything that they did, which says that worked. It's just the lack of numbers behind it. So if we can all invest our energy rather than YouTube wars and all this bullshit and trying to do this and trying to do that and trying to do the other and trying to be famous on the internet and whatnot, these guys have already set out the template for what we need to do. And it's still there.
And proven it as well. I mean, if you take what we did in the Society, there was 9 of us that went in there, and we actually did make history. We're the only people to actually arrest a London mayor and multiple MPs and actually prove they committed crimes.
What you need to do, people, you need to listen, yeah? You're either a talker or you're a doer, yeah? You're going to either talk about it, yeah, and whinge and whine like the rest of everyone else, yeah, or the doer, yeah, and you're going to get off your backside, yeah, and you're going to do something about it. You're going to put your effort in, yeah? You're going to show your remorse of how this country's been blimmin' led, yeah, by these morons. I mean, how many times do you need to be mugged off? How many times do you need to be lied to? Yeah. When are you going to wake up and smell the coffee? Yeah. Exactly. It's blatantly there for everyone to see.
And saying that, can we now play that video that we need to play? I want to clear this.
I just want to say, Stephen, I was thinking, right, I want to start a group because all these fucking speakers corner people are all about the place. I'm like, let's do a doers corner. Fuck off speakers corner. You can all chat shit all day long, but let's do a doers corner and actually get some.
There's only 2 types of people on this planet. You got your doers and you got your talkers.
Exactly, yeah? Mate. Exactly.
Talk about it, you don't do. If you do, you don't talk about it.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
Now, okay, we've been a bit of contradicting because we're online in front of thousands of people, but sometimes you need a voice. Sometimes you need a voice to wake you up so you realise what the situation is. The situation is dire.
But we are doers who are talking about what we've done.
Exactly. Yeah. Mix the two together. We talk about it because that spreads it, but we're actually doing some shit as well. We're not just going to sit here for the next 3 years going around in circles going, your mama said this, your mama said that, all that bullshit. Fuck that.
This is why me and Gary have said on numerous occasions, I mean, we've got loads of leaders of groups that will go and tell people, go and do this, go and do that. Well, I'm going to do it again, okay? I challenge all leaders of all groups, stop getting your followers to do it and go and do it yourself. Do what we did. Have proof
Teach
of
what you preach.
Exactly. Go and prove proof of concept to your followers, and they may follow.
Exactly. Yeah. Lead by example, right?
Exactly that. Right. You can't expect anyone to do something you wouldn't do yourself.
100%. We've got to put it up. Right. So I'm going to try and get this up. I think it should be going into it, and I hope it's at the right timestamp. Can you guys see that on the screen? Has it changed? Has it changed to like a video that I'm about to play? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right. Okay, so I'm going to play it from here. I think it's the right time. If I've got it wrong, I'm looking. I don't know if you guys can see. I've got it to about 3:15, I think, something like that. So I'm just going to play this, and then we'll go from there.
Frauds, whatever, anything that's going on in the movement which distracts people and has people off down the road financially or otherwise. Now, that's what I'm known for. Now, when I spoke about the King's Flag fraud, Wake Up UK was nothing to do with it. Sean wandered into an investigation which we was watching of the King's Flag scam. Sean was confronted by Gary Clark, Nathan Curtin, and maybe one or two others of the Dragons, and told, these are scammers, come away from it. You know, we're going to expose this shortly. Now, only when Sean started doing videos, calling me all that comes under the sun, after I put one comment on a live, like anyone could do now, I put Sean is a prick and a village idiot. He doesn't represent the Pendragons or the 17.4 million. That's it. Now, because he did that, I had 2 videos done on me with Sean. I'm going to invite Tommy. I'm going to invite Glenn Zaffo. Everyone needs to attack. Den Tarragon, Joshua Bible, fucking and not just myself, but the Pendragons as well. Now, why would you do that? All I did was point out that Sean didn't represent the Dragons. He'd left 9 months previous. People had asked him to take the emblem off. Can you take that off, Sean? It still says on your Facebook that you work for the Pendragon, Sean. You don't. You haven't worked there for 9 months. Can you take it off? You're misleading people. You're leading these people into a treasonous plot under the guise of Pendragons, which is wrong. He was asked many times. See, I put that comment. I had 2 videos done. That's it. So anyone that got involved after that picked a side. Jason picked a side. He picked a 3-legged donkey.
Right, can I
That's it.
this point about that?
Yeah.
Have you read the letter that Sean handed in?
The letter, everybody agreed with, Tom. It was a date.
It was the timing. It was the timing. It was the time. I was speaking to Sean myself at that point. It was the timing, right? It was the timing that was the issue. Tom.
Have you read the letter?
Yeah.
You have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I beg to differ because the letter.
What?
Right. This is where
you know they read it out of why.
I've spoke in detail with. I've got a copy of the letter. There's no time specification, and it doesn't.
You read the letter out on the line.
Hold on, it doesn't
in
even
context of what was going on around it lawfully. No, it's not the letter itself, Tom. You're missing the point.
You're missing the point because
you're. Oh, am I? As always, yeah. Because I'm a girl on my own fucking channel. All right, mate.
No. Because I've read the letter. I've got a copy of the letter. I can send it.
We've all read the letter.
We've
all got the fucking letter.
Because Sean only gave it me 3 weeks ago, and it's a letter that hasn't been.
I had it a year and a half ago.
This is the point I'm
letter out on the line.
You've got isn't the letter that Sean gave in.
He read it out on the live.
No, he didn't.
He read it out on the live.
Right,
yes,
the
letter, still got
the letter Sean handed in that day. Right, this is how Sean. Yeah, let me just explain how Sean explained it to me, and I've got a copy of the letter, and it all ties.
If we was there at the time, Tom, and Sean was none of the way,
when Sean was part of
how are you trying to teach us what went on when he was there?
Because I asked Sean about it. What's this?
We were there at the time, Tom.
This is ridiculous.
I was on one side, Umbrella was on the other.
It's like you're scared of the answer. You'll ask me questions.
We're totally not scared. You just don't know what the fuck to do with yourself right now because you don't understand the context of what you're talking about.
I'm going to explain it.
It's not about the wording of the fucking letter. It was about the time frame. It was about the time frame.
The time frame to Gary and Nathan's letter mattered. To Sean's letter, this is where you're making the mistake, darling. Gary and Nathan's letter was time specific. That's the difference. The letter Sean handed in wasn't time specific, and it wasn't even relevant.
You know what, Tom? We can do a screen share. Can you get them both up, then, please? Put them both up and put the
tomorrow. 40.5.
No, not fucking 4 days
sorry,
later.
you to demand evidence from me.
Tom, not funny, but you lost it every time. I'll
send it.
You're being told bullshit.
10 minutes.
You're being told bullshit.
Give me 10 minutes and I'll send it to Tara Machiavelli. And then
do that, then we'll put it all up, and then you can tell us why it wasn't time specific, and you can tell us why it wasn't
you
time
can read it for yourself, and are you going to show the copy of the letter you think he sent?
Like I said, Tom, Sean actually read the letter out.
Negative then, because they're lying. They haven't seen
actually read the letter.
You're going to show me a copy of the letter?
Anyway, hi everyone. Tom, I'm not hearing the words coming out my mouth. I've just heard 15 times Sean read the fucking letter out. He read it on the line.
Have you got a copy of the letter so I can read it?
I keep saying the same.
Have you got a copy? He could have given it to Santa Claus, but that don't let me read it. Have you got a copy of the letter that you think Sean sent?
Right, how about we just
I want to read the letter. Hold on, let me just explain. I know exactly what's going on here, and I said this to Sean. And I said, Sean, you should have come out with this earlier, because I know exactly what's happened. You've left the Pendragons. Gary and Nathan think the letter you've handed in is a copy of the letter they were going to hand in. And Sean was like, no, I've left the Pendragons. Me and, is it John Taylor or someone? There's a guy.
There were a few of them, yeah.
John Taylor wrote the letter. It's not a big secret.
This is where you're wrong. There were many people.
John Taylor wrote the
letter. Gary and Nathan handed in. This is what I'm trying to.
John Taylor wrote the letter. We already know who wrote the letter. He can pretend he's unnamed. John Taylor.
We know this. We know this.
Pendragons were working on the letter, right? Some shit kicked off. Sean had enough for waiting for Nathan. In his words, Nathan was dragging his heels.
John Taylor.
Then something.
John Taylor.
Hold on. Let me finish. Just let me finish.
Knows what the fuck he's doing.
You know what? Let me finish. You'll hear the story. You realise where you've gone wrong. Right?
We've gone wrong.
Yeah, you've gone wrong because you're thinking of the letter Nathan and Gary handed in, which is why Nathan and Gary fell out with Sean. Because they're thinking Sean stole their letter and handed it in early, which isn't what happened. Sean fucked off, left the Pendragons, and him and John Taylor created a whole new letter, whole different letter that wasn't time specific and didn't involve the veterans. Really fucking simple, isn't it, when you let me finish? It's a different fucking letter, but that's why
you've been told that, but it's not true.
Involved in it. And that's why
you've been told that, but it's not true, Tom.
But no,
you can keep talking, but you think you're right, Tom.
Right.
You're not listening to what's being said.
If he had stole the letter and handed it in, you'd be right, and I'd be on your side. But the simple fact
is, everybody, you're not listening.
Have you not heard the nightmare I've just had?
You are not
explaining to you.
And yet
you want Sean ain't going to explain himself.
I have on you. Thomas literally got no self-control.
Anyway, hi, baby, and hi, Tim.
Hi, Shane.
Yep.
I think, is that about where we need to go to, or was there more? I'm trying to find StreamYard again. Can't find where I'm at. Yeah, did we need more than that, or was that pretty much enough? Oh, Nathan's gone. Nathan's not even here. Oh, hang on. All right, he's back. Hang on, 2 seconds. 2 seconds. You're back in, mate. You're right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Did you catch that, or did we need more? I think that was about enough.
I can explain it for me. It only take 5 minutes. Right.
Go for it.
Right. The situation is it wasn't just CMW. It wasn't just the Pendragons that was actually doing this letter. There was multiple groups, like constitutional and common law groups, that was actually meant to basically all chime in this letter. We was all doing it behind the scenes. It wasn't public. The whole point is because we was meant to release it in time, so the government didn't know. What happened is the reason why it was stalled is because of me. Yes, like Sean says, yes, I was dragging my heels because what Sean doesn't know, and it's been proven now, Sean doesn't know the basics of common law, let alone our constitution, and he hadn't got a clue. The truth about that letter, and I'm hoping Tom's listening, the truth about that letter, Tom, Gary Clark actually posted the letter on his timeline about a year before, and all Sean done was take Gary's letter, take it to John Taylor, and John Taylor just changed some of the wording. So it wasn't even Sean's letter. Okay. The reason why it was time sensitive is because the British government had already preliminarily applied to the European Union for help from the European Army to quell any uprising. So we had to wait until the limitations of that went before we could actually do our letter. Sean didn't want to wait for that because Sean didn't understand what the fuck he was doing. At that point, Sean wasn't even in the Dragons. He'd left by the time with Diggy. So Sean just ran off and he thought he was going to do it all by himself. Basically, Sean tried seeing the thunder. And all Sean done was actually put in a letter that was a threat at the time when our government and the European Union was in talks about having European Union armed forces, and this is where PESCO comes in, on our soil. And that's why it was time sensitive, because we had to wait for the limitations of that preliminary application to be ended. Otherwise, they would have had reason to actually enact it. Luckily, they didn't. I mean, I haven't seen anything they have. That's why it was time sensitive. So the truth of the matter is, no, it wasn't Sean's letter, Tom. It was actually Gary's letter. Sean just took Gary's letter, went to John Taylor and said, can you change the word in this? John changed the word in the letter slightly, and Sean went and put it in. What actually happened is, for the first time, we had multiple groups, and I was actually in charge of all this. This is why my name is basically blackened throughout the whole movement, because at the time, I was in charge of it all. Sean went and done what he did, and every single other group thought that we'd shat on them, screwed them over, and took all the glory. That's why there was umbrage taken, because Gary didn't like the fact that Sean stole his letter without actually asking him. The fact that Sean put it in when it could have caused the UN Army to actually enact, and basically everybody knows, most groups are being labelled domestic terrorists. We was at the time labelled as a group that was domestic terrorists because we was trying to remove the government. That's the fact of the matter when it comes down to how it was time sensitive. Time sensitive because there was what you call due process within European law that we had to make sure we didn't breach. Sean doesn't understand the basics of common law. He doesn't even know it. To the fact where Sean, the reason why Sean doesn't have a following now, because he had to admit on his own live, he doesn't know about common law. He doesn't know about the Constitution, but he knows people that do. So Sean's been pretending for a very, very long time. The letter we was actually going to do was actually compiled by numerous groups. But we didn't get to do that because Sean disrupted that and threw the whole bloody thing out by trying to lead a charge and basically claiming all the glory for himself. And this is what people don't realise. At the end of the day, what Sean did was totally out of fucking order. Totally out of order because he didn't understand. He didn't want to listen. And he says, I dragged my heels. But at the end of the day, everybody agreed with me. And this is what Sean is not telling everybody. Everybody agreed with me because they looked at the research I did. They looked at what I put to them and said, do we really want to chance this? And everyone went, no, we'll wait. Sean didn't want to do that. That's why Sean went down there. And Tom, he did read out that letter on a live because if you haven't been watching, basically he read the letter out because he tried saying, well, this is what I put out in. It's not the same as the letter they was going to put in. Well, I can tell you now, Sean wasn't party to or even see the letter that we was actually compiling. Sean was nothing to do with it.
Oh, and that clears that up.
But this is the thing. This is what people are not realising. There was multiple groups that was actually joining. The first time we see unity in all the groups, and it's because Sean wasn't part of that, and Sean wasn't. Same as Sean wasn't. Put it this way, same as the Fabian Society. Sean had a very little part. when the Fabian sighting happened, Sean sat at the back of the arena and he did not leave his seat until we was outside and he found out we wasn't going to be arrested. Sean's been faking it the whole way along. So when Tom says about all the shit,
You muted, Nath. Nath, you muted out. Don't know if you meant to, but you muted there, mate. Nathan, sorry, go on. You muted there for a bit.
Darren was talking to me and one thing, so I sort of muted thing. Right, no, but this is the thing. This is what people don't realise, and this is what Tom needs to realise. He's spoken to Sean, but at what point did Tom come to me or Gary or anybody else that was involved? Because Sean was not part of what we was doing. Sean had he wasn't part of it. Sean was not involved in any of the meetings. He wasn't involved in the letter. He had no input in the letter. And that's why he done it. Sean wasn't even in the Dragons at that time. In fact, what's happened is Sean has basically lived off our reputation to try and boost himself up. So what he done,
pretending to be a lone wolf, but taking the accolade for everything that you boys are doing in the background, pretty much sounds like.
It is basically what it was. This is the thing. When we was in the Dragon, Sean didn't even know how to copy and paste. And this is what Sean Morris is not telling the truth at. Most of us had to do his work for him because he couldn't. All Sean done was do lives. And if he actually stuck to that, he would have got somewhere. But what Sean did, and Gary, if Gary was here, he'd actually back me on this. When we went to the Independence Day with Tommy Robinson, Sean was sitting there, I'm not being funny, like a child looking at Santa. Sean was like, I need to be up there. And that's all Sean wanted to do. He left the Dragons and he tried making a name for his own self. That's why he done the letter. In fact, the truth of the matter is, Tom, Sean stole that letter off Gary. That's the fact of the matter. And he just got the wording changed a little bit. It's not his letter. He didn't write it. Neither did John. They just changed some wording of it. That's the fact of the matter. And we did go to Sean and we did try and stop Sean and say, look, Sean, you don't want to do this. This can get you in a load of crap. Sean decided, instead of actually listening to us, the people that supported him all this time, Sean decided he was going to mug us off and he'd go for any likes and the shares. This is what's happened. So no, it's not how Tom says it at all. The fact of the matter is, Sean done something out of order and he's lied since. And he's had to, he's had to admit a lot of things. He just hasn't admitted that. And this is where we stand at the moment. At the end of the day, if Tom would have actually bothered to ask the rest of us, this misunderstanding wouldn't have been going on so long and it wouldn't have caused so many eruptions between the groups. In fact, we'd have probably had more uniting by now. But the problem is, where Sean's been going behind everyone's back and slagging everybody off to try and protect his lies, all he's done is create division between groups. Truth of the matter is,
the point where you ask why are they doing it? Like, is it a mistake or is it something more calculated?
Well, this is the thing. Most people make
mistakes when you're up that level.
But this, actually, Darren, you're actually exactly true. Sean was at a level he shouldn't have made that kind of mistake.
Yeah.
So it was a mistake he made.
Yeah. When you're at that level, you know how to manipulate people. You know what to do to manipulate people. So you do what you need to do to survive.
But you make a very good point. But this is the thing. Was Sean manipulating everything to make himself the centre of attention?
Well, if I'm being honest, I don't know who bloody hell Sean is. I'm just listening to your conversation and thinking, well, if he did manipulate things, he's a clever sod. He must be a clever sod because he's put himself in that situation. So do you treat him dumb and give him the benefit of the doubt, or do you treat him for the knowledgeable person he is and do put him under the microscope?
Well, this is the problem. Sean he's not knowledgeable. Sean doesn't even know the basics. Sean just basically...
But he's managed to dupe you.
No, he didn't dupe anybody. This is what you're not listening to, though.
So what has he done?
Basically, what it is Sean decided to steal one of Gary's letters and pass it off as his own. Because rather than...
For what?
Because Sean wants to be the main patriot that everyone looks to and everyone thinks he wanted to be centre of attention. He wanted to be that...
He's a glory hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then in the private hangouts, Rick, you'll piss yourself over this. Do you remember me saying to you that I had a private hangout with these guys around that situation? And he was like, I've had to do this because of my wife. I've had to do that because of my wife, because Den's going to come and fucking kill me. Den's going to come and kill me. At that stage, I'm still like, oh, I think Den wants to kill me as well. This is like, it's like, all right, big man, go and do all this bollocks. But there's some dude on the internet, some fucking guy up in Manchester on the fucking internet is going to come and do you in, and you're scared, and you're scared for your wife over this dude. Like, are you serious?
But that's the truth of the matter. Tom needs to actually really start asking a few people like the truth, because a lot of people don't realise is while Sean was in the Dragons, he kept doing this thing where he'd leave the Dragons and then go and say something. Because basically what it was is we didn't want Sean basically saying his own opinion, because he didn't know nothing. So he was told was not to mix official business with his own opinion.
Yeah.
He tried to get
You're breaking up, mate. Your connection's really bad. I don't know if you've moved, but your connection.
Sean tried, when Sean was called up, Sean tried getting Stephen, who's got cancer, taken out of the movement, because Sean was pulled. And this is the thing, and Sean done it. That letter was not Sean's, and he had no authority to do it. He done it off his own back. And basically what happened is we actually had, and this is what annoys us all, we actually had all of the constitutional and lawful groups all actually united in doing this letter. And what Sean did was doing it, and like it's like Rick says, he still had works for the Pendragons on his profile. Everybody thought he was still a Pendragon, so the other groups thought we screwed them all over, and that's the reason why we still ain't united today.
Yeah, I even asked him about that, and I'm like, mate, why don't you take it off? He's like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do technical. I can't do this. I can't do it. Like, it's really easy to change a picture. Like, get someone else to do it. Still, it's not a big deal. But that was completely playing a card that wasn't happening. It was, a bit weird. That's when I was just like, I started smelling like, what? You can totally take down a fucking picture and put up a different one. Every new account he came under still had the dragon thing going on.
Well, this is the thing. It's the same as Graham Moore. Even though he wasn't in the Dragons, he still claims Daddy Dragon and all that sort of stuff.
It sounded like your dude was wanting to say something. I don't know if you muted out intentionally or not. But yeah, Daddy Dragon, whatever he's doing. And Rick, actually, I'm gonna pick your brain in a minute when we get off.
Look, listen, I'm gonna have to go now. What we'll do, we'll have to do another show, and I'll explain this properly.
That's fine. You let me know. We'll set it up. We'll get it out and shared as well, because this time it's a bit off the cuff. So you just let me know when and where, and we'll make it happen. And
I'll explain it in entirety, because at the moment I've got in my ear and things like that, so I can't do it right this second.
No, you're cool.
I'll explain it properly when I get a chance to explain it. But there's a lot more to it. Basically, the crux of the matter is, Shaw decided that he was going to screw everybody over and try and take the glory for himself, and it didn't quite work out like that. He'll end up just screwing us and other groups over, and that's why the Pendragon got attacked, because everybody thought that we did it on purpose, and it wasn't, because Sean still won't admit that he did it off his own back.
Yep.
But the letter he used was actually Gary's letter that he posted on his own Facebook.
Yeah, and again, I was in the mix of that without even realising it at the point. So it'll be brilliant to have the discussion and really go into it and delve into it properly. So you just let me know, mate. Just WhatsApp me. Let me know when's good for you. We'll set it up. We'll make sure Rick's about, and go from there. And let's just keep doing what we do. Keep exposing the fucking bullshit that's going on, because there's a lot of it going on. There's very few people that are actually out here, and I've got massive respect for Nathan, for Rick, for Gary, and Stephen Lang, that I've had the pleasure of meeting.
I've got to go, because I've got to basically get in a taxi now. What we'll do, it again, and I'll be able to explain it properly when I haven't got someone in me. And then the whole thing. But Tom's got it completely wrong. Basically, what's happened is Sean has done what he's usually done and just lied, because he doesn't want to admit the truth.
Yeah, Sounds about right. And that's why Den didn't even get his date this weekend, I don't think, that he was supposed to have. But you look, you do what you need to do. Get in your taxi, mate. Do what you need to do. Take care of yourself and your family. And we'll hook up and speak again very soon. Just let me know and we'll get it set up. But look after yourself. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Reynald, and I'll speak to you all soon. Right, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And sorry about this little last bit, but like I said, it's like in a bit of a rush now.
No, you're good, mate. You're good.
And I shall explain it in detail.
Excellent. We look forward to it, dude. Right, you look after
That's
yourself.
one,
Okay.
Right,
Bye-bye,
take
guys.
it.
Bye-bye.
Speak soon. All right, bye.
Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you, Kaylee, for inviting me. So hope to see you soon again.
Sorry,
Thank
can we
you.
say that? That was
Yes, thank you very much for the invitation, and hope to
Oh no,
speak
you're
to you
more than
soon.
welcome. You're more than welcome. Please do join us again, because obviously we'll be talking more with Gary and Nathan and about the solutions that we do have, because everyone's got time to talk about the problems, right? Day in, day out, day in, day out. It's nice to talk to people that have got the solutions, and that's the way we're heading. So please do feel free. You can join anytime. It's been a pleasure to have you on. I really do appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Bye, Rick. Take care all.
Stay safe.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Have a good
Bye.
Christmas.
Look after yourself.
Bye-bye.
And then there were two. It's just me and you.
Is that right?
What are we gonna do?
You hear me now?
Yeah, you hear me now. Yeah, I can hear. I can hear.
Right.
Yeah. What's that about? Like, I think I'm stuck in the back chat. I'm like, no, you're on. What you like?
There's some mad delay on that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, there is. There is no. That was a good chat though. Epic conversation. Did you see? Did you see Omar coming going? It's all about me. It's all about me. Dickhead. Silly cunt. But yeah, no. Yeah, no, I saw. I was just like, then it's just like boom, boom. Yeah, shake the room. Fucking weird. But no, that was an epic conversation. That was a really good conversation. This is more what we need to be doing, right? This is what we're about. And anyone that wants to follow us around and say, oh my God, here's the drama queens, we're not actually.
Yeah.
And I've got a fucking bit shoot now. So fuck all of you. I've got a bit shoot now as well. So all the actual stuff that I need to put out, I can put out. But our lives and our intentions are not about the drama. You can all do the drama.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that, because that's not why we're here. That's not why we ever met. That's not what we're about. So, without making it too prolonged, go on.
Just to add a couple of things what Tom had said on there, because I'd only just listened back to it myself tonight. He said he was going to send certain bits over and all that. He hasn't sent anything. I've sent him a link tonight to this show. I messaged him last night saying, are we still having that chat or are we not? So he's had stuff sent from me, but he sent me nothing. So he's talking shit, and he's fully aware that Jason Tyler knew about all this pack of lies and propagated it and got Tracy Blackwell doing videos and whatever. It's far from just Sean. There's a lot of branches to this tree. So it's one of them.
Sorry, no, I was just saying this is deep.
To me,
go on.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, to me, we have to work off what we know. We know that they knew it was a pack of lies. It took a long while for it to come out, the truth, but it come out with Windy Miller and all that. So we know for a fact that they knew they was working off a pack of lies that whole time. To me, that weren't just to protect Sean and his stupid little letter. There was something a lot bigger behind that. To me, I don't think Sean was ever a genuine patriot. I really don't. He popped up at the last minute and jumped on the Khan thing, him and Rhea Vigor. So why they just popped up at the last second, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? And since then, it's just. I mean, Sean's been in the Dragons for all that time. He's never learned anything. He's not learned one thing the whole time he was there. Now, to me, it just seemed to be either just a big ego thing, or he was never even on the right side. You know, he was, in my eyes, he was probably on the other side.
Yeah, well, it
I'm
gets
just
to
trying to
that
make
point,
us
doesn't it?
all
You're
look
just like you do get to the
yeah,
point where you're just like, well, how many coincidences do we just allow, and then when do we go? Okay, this is slightly more orchestrated than that, you know.
yeah,
And are we
this is it.
crazy conspiracy theorists to think that, or are we just being, you know, astute to what's actually going on and going, that
No,
don't happen, like by nature?
no. I mean, you've had someone on the comments today saying, "Oh, why are you dragging all this up? Sean don't need it, blah blah blah." It's like I just don't get the mentality behind some of the thinking of people.
No,
The
again,
fucking the danger
it's,
that the veterans was put into because of that fucking idiot. You know, it's
if
like,
you
how do you not get that? That's actually
if you propagate a lie 5 years ago, that's going to grow, right, into a weed, into something. And it's going to
yeah,
grow and it's going to continue to grow, and it's still going to be here 5 years later. And then you have to take, all right, we'll take whatever comes off the fruit of that bud. You're going to go back to that
yeah,
root and go, that started on a fucking lie, though.
yeah,
Do you know
yeah.
what I mean?
This is it.
So it doesn't
Yeah,
change that we're 5 years down the line. It doesn't change.
yeah,
Whatever that seed started out as, is it a good seed or a bad seed? It's still fucking,
yeah,
it worked its way to growing into something. And if it's still got an implication on what we're doing right now, then it still needs to be addressed. And people will call
yeah,
us the drama queens all day long, Rick. They'll call us the drama queens. We're not. We just stick to the facts. And if that brings drama to your life, you need to look in the fucking mirror and ask, why is that bringing drama to your life?
yeah, yeah. To me, it's as simple as this. We just haven't got enough time for the bullshit. We have to do the right things and do it the right way. We haven't got time to do any more madness. I mean, look at all the dash things. Sean's spring from one thing to another. Lawful descent after that load of shit as well. And all that, you know, all that was a waste of 6 months of everybody's time and all that shit. And Nathan and Gary told them all from day one, you know, you're chasing your own tail there. It's going to go nowhere. It's you know, it's not law. It's an opinion at best, and everyone wasted the time. You know, we haven't got any more time to keep wasting. To me, it's one of them.
Exactly.
Nathan and Gary have been right from day one. We need to
Yep.
listen what's being said. We need to go over our options, and that's that. You know,
Yeah,
egos, side, neither here nor there. None of it matters. If
exactly.
you know, if we don't, if somebody doesn't do something that works, we all we're all going to sink regardless. So
That's the whole thing.
at
It's like
that
people
point,
don't understand. Sorry, go on. Sorry.
no, I'm just saying that's it. You know what I mean? At that point, we're all fucked, aren't we? So I don't know.
Yeah, the point I was going to make there, we're all on the same fucking sinking ship, right? So we can all argue and batter each other up while it's going down, but the ship's going down, right? We can beat each other
Yeah,
up because we don't like each other's shoes or who you pray to or all this kind of bollocks. That's fine. We can do that all day long, but we need to be fucking real about it. And when you get to this point and you've got people like Gary and Nathan that have been in the game for so long and you cannot fault them on a step that they've taken, I'd
no,
suggest that's where our energy needs to go. Right? You've got a lot of fucking
yeah,
wankers on the internet, like me, like Rick, like everyone else, right? There's a lot of fucking egos out here on the internet, and you can follow them by all means. But where are you going to go? You're going to go into your little bubble. You're going to go into one room of that Titanic, and somebody's going to be like really big and important over there. At the end of the day, we need to all address this situation together. And when you've got people that have not got an ego in it and they've not got their name needs to be the best name on the internet, and all this, that's probably where you should be paying attention to. And these guys can't be faulted for what they've done. And they have solutions. Again, it's in the name. Umbrella Grape Solutions. It wasn't by accident I made that. I've seen the problems. We've all seen the problems. We can all talk about the problems. We can all cunt each other off about the problems all day long. We need to find the solutions. And there's very few people. And right at the top of this, I'd say right now, is Gary and Nathan. And again, it's not for their egos because they're not in it for that. They're really not in it for that, but they actually have solutions. That's where we need to be investing our time and our energy. As far as I'm concerned, that's what we need to do. you know. And again, myself and Mick, we're not part of CMW. And for anyone that wants to clip anything that we said and all this kind of nonsense, we're not the group, but we back them. I'm talking for you, Rick, sorry, at the moment, but back them 100% because that's where the solutions do lay, as far as I'm concerned, at least, you know.
Yeah, bang on. This is it. I mean, it's one of them. As far as I'm concerned, this is the only strand of lawful solutions we've got. So if we don't all take what we can from this now and do something productive with it, then we are all fucked. And all that'll come next is unlawful solutions. I mean, I'll go whichever way the fucking wind blows, to be honest, and I'll be all right. You know, but are all these little keyboard fucking warriors sat at home hiding in the basement? Are you going to be all right? Because I don't think you will, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. This is what. This is where we get to sit where we're at. Because what have we done? We're stuck with the truth, the facts, the evidence, and we've sat on that all day long. Now there's so many people around the YouTubes, so many people that are just like blackmailing each other. I've got this on you. I've got that on you. I've got that on you. I've got this on you. You guys, you're playing a little game that's only relevant to yourselves. Okay, we're talking about our kids. We're talking about the future. We're talking about, you know, just existence as a species in itself. You know, just our kids don't deserve to do what we've had to do for this amount of time. So all of these people that are going, I'm really big over here on the internet, or I'm really big over there on the internet. I'm really all right. Go be big wherever, whatever. We're just literally sat on the facts here, and people can try and tear us down. They've done it for how many years now? Try and tear us down, try and ruin us, try and tell us we're wrong. Go for it. We're still here. We're still standing. You know, you can't fault us, because as much as you may or may not like us, because we are kind of Marmite, you can't fault us on the truth. That's where we stand, and we will continue to stand on that. You know, so that's where everybody needs to kind of focus their attention, is to the actual facts of things. Get over the YouTube. Oh, this one's a big one, this one's a big one, this one's a... Get over it. Just get over it and just look at the facts. Look at the facts and look where we can go.
Apparently, it was an active patriot that was peddling Graham Moore. So...
Oh, this gets so deep. I never even got to get over to all the stuff that I heard with the whole Glenn thing as well. Yeah, active patriot. I've got a good few question marks about at the moment. I don't know what's going on over there. Like I said to you as well, I've got Busker and Steve Wild are both, like, since we spoke about them, what was it, 2-3 nights ago, have both messaged me in the meantime. So I'm not sure what's happening, but there's obviously a game being played, like, against each other. I don't know, but that was.
It seems to be every scammer that there's been around.
Yeah,
you know, it just seems to fall for all the idiots, back to all the fucking wrong uns, and talk shit about things there's nothing about. So, be interesting to see what he knows and what he doesn't know about fucking Graham Moore, seems he's peddling him so much.
And now Graham Moore's going on Wendy's, you say, right?
Apparently.
Okay. They were slagging him off last week, Jupiter and Wendy. They were slagging him off completely.
Well, Wendy and that, I would only bring him on thinking that, you know, maybe he is a lawful solution, and they'll attack him just for that, because we know what they're about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
no, do you know what? I was giving Jupiter like the benefit of the doubt until last night. That was horrendous. What happened there? I'm not convinced anymore that she's not just a bit more than stupid. I think she's a bit more involved than I actually gave her credit for.
It's one of them. How stupid can someone be? She, you know, when you've seen the things that you're seeing unfold, and you think, well, you've seen the evidence, but you know, you're siding with Wendy now, going, yeah, you're just Jason haters, and you think, well, you've just seen the evidence. They've seen it. You fucking dumb bastard. Your videos, what?
That's like saying, oh, you're just a devil hater. You're just a devil hater. Why do I hate the devil? Maybe the devil was a cunt. Do you know what I mean? Fucking hell.
you can excuse a certain amount, but once it gets past the line, you think there's no way in the world you could be that stupid. You know, you can't not see these warning signs or whatever. You can't see blatant things in your face.
Yeah.
No one could be that stupid. So
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, again.
To me, it's one of them. Present them with it and move it in it. You know, that's always been the way of me. Just present them with the facts and see how they react to it.
And that's why we're so popular, right? That's why we're so popular, because we're just like, okay, here's the facts. We can do.
Yeah.
You can make it up. It's funny, but it's not funny. It's kind of sad, but at the same time, at least there's a lot of clarity that comes with time, isn't there? You know, the longer we go through this, the longer in the tooth that we've been at this game and we see what's going on. It's like there's not even a question mark anymore. Oh, is it a conspiracy theory? No. You're obviously just doing a job, right? You're doing a job. Do it well.
Yeah. This is the thing. I mean, to me, everything moves a stage forward. It's, you know, every year or so. I mean, when I started speaking about Islamic terrorism and grooming and all that, fucking hell, you'd think it was Satan himself or whatever the reaction you would get from most people. But now it's public knowledge. Everybody knows. You know, it's one of them. It's certain points have already been proven. It's public knowledge now. You know, people are aware, aren't they? So it's just one of them. To me, just gotta keep moving forward. Don't move back. You know, these wankers want you to either stay still and just keep being distracted over any old nonsense, or have you push back. The worst thing you can do is stay still. Just keep moving forward. Fuck them. None of these wankers have got any credibility anyway. The only people that listen to these wankers are other trolls. It's like, who cares what trolls say to trolls? You can sit there and talk about anything you want, and I don't give a fuck. It's just not important.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, that's where I'm slightly lagging a little bit behind, because I'm always like, oh, there's nice people in there. There's nice people in there. I want to go be their friend. So I'm trying. You're just like, okay, you fucking get over it, man. Fuck's sake. But no, there's a few good people out there. There's a few good people. I will give them that. There are a few good people, but at the same time, you've taught me more than anyone really to just see it for what it is. You know, it doesn't matter if I'm the fucking like optimist in my head. Don't change reality, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't change the people that are about. And there's a lot of nasty fuckers about. There's a lot of nasty fuckers, and they will drain your energy and drain your time and drain everything away from you. And yeah, I suppose on that note, I just want to say big up to yourself, because you've been not just a rock, like you've really taught me a lot of things, and people can go take the piss out of this if they want to, but it's not a case of that. There's things that I've been on the right path in some ways, but I've also been far too trusting and distracted along the way, and I have to give it over to Rick here, that it's helped me be able to actually focus myself and realize that no, not everyone's your friend. And the reality is the reality, whether you write it or don't write it, you know, it's not going to change. It don't care about your feelings. And there are some good people out there. The people that we've had on the panel tonight, I have to say a massive thank you to Gary, to Nathan, to Stephen. Beautiful talking to Stephen finally. I can't remember the lady's name. Temi, was it? Temi. Yeah. Everyone that was on the panel, I appreciate it so much, and hopefully we'll have some more of these discussions, because we might not get the hundreds of views because we're not sat here with handbags at dawn just like giving it shit over each other's head and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, these are going to be the situations and the discussions where we actually figure out some stuff that's positive and that we can go forwards on. So by all means, if you want to go and listen to what Brian Hell's done with his butt plugs yesterday, then by all means, there's plenty of panels to do that. But everybody else that's come along for the ride that actually wants to try and figure out some real solutions, that's what we're going to try and do over here. And I look forward to the next one. And again, I have to big up my friend Rick here, because he is a diamond. As much as people might fucking hate him, go spin on it. He's a cool dude. He's good. He's good. But again, thank you. And yeah, I suppose we'll catch up in probably maybe 5 minutes. But it's all good.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you everybody in the chat. Everybody take care of yourself so much. Wish I had the music, but I haven't got it, so I might just do a sing song and just piss everyone off. No, I ain't even gonna do that. Not even gonna do that. We're just gonna sign off. We didn't have music coming in, we didn't have music coming out because we've been enough to deal with it. It's all good. All right, everybody.
For Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everybody. I'll talk to you in a bit, babe. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Big pleasure. Thank you. Yeah, tune in next time. There will be music. I'll sort that out. But thank you for sticking around. It's been epic.